Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalak Bashai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live with Shabbat Shalom. Rather to everybody tuning in live on another midnight lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. Yeshayahu, Salaki Shalom. D. Rivers, Kyoko Banyamyan, Don Israel Tamid, Sweet Styles Natural, Nasha Yahoo, Yasher All, Yvette McKellar, Benjamin Youngwolf, Shalom King, Brother Azariah Shalom, Harold, Aka Rectitude, HBK Lit, Nigel Blend, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Midnight, it's like a Nimrod, the second tower, and the final war, right? We're going to dive right into it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmiah Shah as we constantly apply pressure and go into these prophecies throughout these lessons to warn our people about what the Most High is doing in the earth in terms of judgment, in terms of how the Most High is using these nations, in terms of war, in terms of famine, in terms of pestilence, in terms of prophecies being fulfilled with week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmiah Shah. We have to go into these prophecies. And we're going to go into Nimrod and a second Tower of Babel, right? Because there's a lot of events that are going on in the earth right now. And we see this devil, it's like I want Revelation 17. We see this devil closing in the walls with this technology, right? With this globalism, with this ability to get all these nations to be on the same page when it comes to surveillance, when it comes to tracking, when it comes to prisons, when it comes to FEMA camps, when it comes to the New World Order, when it comes to these different globalist agendas, right? And this is biblical prophecy. Now, before we kind of dive into it, some of the things that you see going on, we have, let me pull this up real quick. Let me make sure the screen is showing. First, let me get Habakkuk, right? I want to get this, right? First, let's go to Habakkuk 2:1. Then I want to dive into some of the events that are going on in the earth, right? And what does this have to do with Nimrod? We'll talk about that as well. Habakkuk chapter 2:1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved, right? In the previous chapter, you read about Habakkuk complaining about injustice, complaining about the law being slacked, complaining about how the wicked compass the righteous. And the Most High put it in Habakkuk's spirit to wait for an answer, right? When you see injustice, when you see crimes committed against the sons of God, when you see the perversion of judgment taking place in the earth, we are looking for hope. We're looking for answers. So Habakkuk said, you know what? I complained. I called out to the Most High. Now here's what I'm going to do. He said, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower. So the spirit allows us to understand that this is not an actual tower that we're going to stand upon. For this to apply to us, the tower and the watch are the scriptures. And we're watching the events that are going on in the earth and measuring the time so we can warn our people about what the Most High is doing on the earth. And he said, I will watch and see what he was saying to me. How does the Most High speak to us? Through the Holy Spirit, by means of the prophets and the apostles and his son. This is how the Most High is speaking unto us. Right? He says, I will watch and see what he was saying to me. This is Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 1. This is how the Most High is saying things to us. The Most High, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. So the Lord used Ezekiel for certain signs, right? Ezekiel had to remove his stuff out. Isaiah had to walk naked for a period of time. Our father spoke, and even Isaiah said, I and my son, or I and my children are for signs and wonders for the house of Israel. So the Lord spoke by Jeremiah, he spoke by Haggai, he spoke by many men, right? Verse 2, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, but whom also he made the world. So in these last days, the Most High speaking to us through his son Yahweh Shah. So we don't have to just sit around and wait for a Jeremiah to appear, right? Or an Elijah to appear, right? Or a Zechariah or an Ezekiel to appear. Right, Salaki, bear with me. We're waiting for the Lord to speak to us through these scriptures. That's how the Lord is speaking to us through his son. Because remember, his son is in the volume of the book. So every prophecy, every breakdown, every warning, even what we see out there, is all by the spirit of Yahweh Bashmi Shah. So as we watch and we'll see what he's going to say unto us, that's by means of the spirit, right? By his son revealing things unto us. Because all of the events we see happening in the world, the son is revealing that to us by means of the comforter and by means of the Holy Spirit. You know, so it's a beautiful thing to see what the Lord is telling us out here, man. We're watching the New World Order. We're watching World War III come to pass. We're watching all these nations come together. We're watching them implode their own kingdom, right? So we have to constantly watch and see what the Son is going to say to us, how he's going to sup with us and feed us and guide us in these last days. We all have to keep watch. It's not just for a man that teaches on the highways and byways. It's not just for a brother that does lives. Every single Israelite that believes in the Most High God, Yahweh Bashmi Shai, you are commanded to watch over your spirit, over your household, and you are commanded to watch these global events, national events, local events, and see how they tie in directly with the Bible. So some of the events going on in the earth is, just to touch on a few through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Shai, Homeland Security is making smart glasses to collect intelligence on Americans. So the world, we're watching this world transition day by day, week by week, into a digital biometric trap and snare that they can use to monitor all things, right? And we're going to dive into this. They can monitor who you are, monitor your medical history, monitor your financial transactions, monitor, are you an individual that's likely to commit a crime? Does this person deserve to be in a FEMA camp? So does this person, are they complicit with the New World Order? Does this person have an infirmity or a disease? Is this person vaccinated? They're looking at all of these things, right? And what they're doing is, and it's not just America, it's China, it's Japan, it's all of Europe. All of these nations are coming together and they're communicating through the spirit and power of Satan. They're using Satan. They're all communicating by means of intelligence and by means of biometrics. And they're all communicating through this New World Order by means of artificial intelligence and by means of total control. Right. So I want to read a little of this. And this is a complete violation of the laws of the Most High and a complete violation of people's actual own privacy. And you got to think about this, man. Right. Homeland Security, essentially, or the Department of Homeland Security, they're saying it's for ICE, but it's to collect intelligence on Americans, who you are, and, you know, what your name is, what your heart rate is, your blood type. Right? Are you on a hate watch group? Are you on a hate list? Are you a domestic terrorist? They're all looking at these things. So imagine, you know, you're walking and damn, or whatever happens, and then people have the technology to determine exactly who you are without asking for an ID, without running you. They could just read you and know exactly who you are. right? Or is that he's in this camp, or that brother, that's his YouTube handle, that's his social media, right? It says the Department of Homeland Security, and you best believe they're going to be using this in the days of Jacob's trouble when they're hunting down a servant to the Lord, right? You're not going to, just looking at you and they'll scan your face and identify who you are. The Department of Homeland Security is developing specialized smart glasses that would allow federal agents on American streets to identify illegal aliens from a distance. And it's not just illegal aliens. That's the front, right? That's the front. The real target, like we always go into, the number one threat are the servants of the Lord, the true men and women of Slakia, Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai, right? But they're using illegal aliens as the stepping stone. It says these new ICE glasses, building on available glasses that allow video recording and heads-up data display. This is some futuristic Minority Report technology. It says it will be able to pulse vast federal holdings of biometric data from facial recognition to walking gait to identify people in real time. Right? Let me get a precept on this real quick. So you might think somebody got some regular glasses on. It's a federal agent looking to identify you, and really they're looking to identify those that oppose this system. They're looking to identify those that oppose the system as they continually push this anti-Semitism, as they continually push that you can't speak against the so-called Jew, as they continually push that agenda. People that speak out, people that rebel, people that may hate the government, people that we prophesy the end of the world. We prophesy the downfall of the society. We're going to be put into that particular category. Everybody. If you're watching this live and you believe in the Most High and the Son Yahushua, you're already put into a category. And these are hunting mechanisms. What we're going to, these are hunting weapons and mechanisms. They're not hunting you with a bow. They're not hunting you with an arrow. They're laying snares and traps. And all these nations are all on the same page. But I want to get this, as I was reading that, it made me think of this quick precept. This is Sirach chapter 19 and 29. A man may be known by his look, and one that hath understanding by his countenance when thou meetest him. So you might see a brother, you might be able to discern what kind of spirit he's in, right? He might have on clothes that look like a woman, right? The brother might be walking kind of funny. He might have a goofy smile on his face, and you might come to the conclusion that this brother's a fool. This brother's a homosexual. He has no understanding, right? You're able to discern that by the spirit. Esau, what they're doing is when the scripture said man may be known by his look, he's not just discerning what kind of spirit you're in. He's knowing everything about you as he looks at you, right? He might know what camp you're in. He might know who your father is. He might know your blood type. He might know if you're on the blacklist. He might know, do you have a warrant out? He might know your blood, your facial scan, your thumbprint, like RoboCop spirit, right? It says a man's attire and excessive laughter and gait show what he is. So what you wear, what you say out of your mouth, how you walk, when you walk, where you walk, all of that is going to identify who you are. Now we're able to do that in the spirit. And Esau, he's trying to take on that spirit and identify who you are. It says from facial recognition to walking gait to identify people in real time. So all of these nations are getting on board with the same technology, with the same biometric program to identify people and control people. And this is contrary really to the will of the Most High, right? This is contrary to the will of the Most High. They also have, this is in Japan, right? You can pull this up on your own. Takaichi, right, pushes for social media bans for underage children to protect from online predators. To prevent circumvention, ID registration will be required for all adults to sign up. So whatever device you're on, they're going to track you and know who you are. This is in Japan. It says full details are still unclear, but they are aiming for the UK model. When you look at the UK, They just established facial recognition, right? Facial recognition and CCTV facial scans for everybody out there, right? So Esau and all these nations are attempting to play the role of the Most High, right? Nowhere in the scriptures does the Most High say, do this, man. But this is Esau trying to be an angel, trying to be the Lord. And it's not just the so-called white man. He has all these nations on board, but Esau, he's spearheading this. Remember, the scriptures say in Genesis, let's get a quick precept. In Genesis 3:1, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So there were multiple beasts on the earth during the time of Adam. This beast is really a metaphor for man, right? The Most High said that man, let's get it. Let's get the precept. I don't want to paraphrase it. Let's go to Psalms 49, right? This is Psalms chapter 49:20. Man that is in honor and understandeth not is like the beast that perish. So you might be a celebrity, you might be famous, but if you have no understanding, you're nothing better than the beast. So men are likened unto beasts. So when the Most High said the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, he is saying a particular nation has more wisdom, more craftiness, more subtlety, and more cunningness than any other nation that the Most High made. And all these other nations know that the so-called white man is more subtle than the rest of them. That's why they all pledge their allegiance to the beast. They're all following his new world order, his technology, right? Really, that's his speech. And we're going to touch on that. Speech is a means of communication, right? To accomplish goals, to accomplish tasks, to accomplish endeavors. And although all you have Chinese languages, you have English, you have German, you have Hamitic languages, all nations are beginning to come back together through this technology, through artificial intelligence, through biometrics, and they all can communicate on who's who. This is what you call, well, before I go back to that, right, let me go back to this. So it says full details are still unclear, but they are aiming for the UK model. Because again, in the UK, what are they doing? It says the UK is set to become a complete Big Brother police state. This is real life. Facial recognition cameras will now be rolled out all across the United Kingdom after a legal challenge against the technology has failed. It will become practically impossible to travel to city centers in the United Kingdom without your biometric data being taken, rather knowingly or unknowingly. And it's their opinion. They said this is absolutely dystopian. You see that? So wherever you go, you're tracked. Somebody's up there watching you. You know, somebody behind some screen is identifying who you are, how long you were there. Are you, what are you into? They'll pull up your social media. Oh, this guy, he's an Israelite. Or this person, they're into this. Or this person, they're in the hate group. Oh, that's one of the hate speech people. And they'll pull up on you with them biometric glasses, run a scan on you, identify you, and throw you in a FEMA camp. You know? So Esau, he's trying to play the role of the Most High. And again, it's not just England, Japan, we showed you they're into this. America, they're getting involved. Everybody, all these nations are getting involved with the exact same program. And they're telling you it will become practically impossible to travel to city centers in the UK without your biometric data being taken. So these devils have a lot of plans and a lot of goals, and they're really following this beast. They're following Babylon the Great, right? Let's go to Revelation 17. This is Revelation chapter 17:1. They're all following Babylon the Great because Babylon the Great, which biblically is America, is the headquarters for it's pretty much the headquarters for the global elites. And through America, all nations are following their customs, their ways, their ideologies, right? Their religions, their technology, this endeavor to try to control the creation of the Most High is being spearheaded by Babylon the Great, and all the other nations are following. Even I showed you China. I mean, Japan is following. China's following, right? And I'm gonna get more into that. And this goes back to Genesis, the 10th chapter. This is Revelation chapter 17 and 1. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So John on the Isle of Patmos, he was shown a vision of this great whore, literally sitting on waters. The waters that she sits upon represent the nations that she has dominion over. Right? Let's explain that. Let's go to the last verse in this chapter about what the waters represent. This is Revelation 17 and verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city. Actually, let me jump up 15, Salakia. Revelation 17 and 15. And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So America has dominion over peoples. Those are ethnicities and different tribes, and multitudes. Those are massive people groups, countries, islands. You understand? Land masses. It says nations. Those are people that descend from common ancestors, right? The Hamitic nations, the Japhetic nations, the Shemitic nations, and tongues, different languages. So they have complete dominion over these nations by means of the dollar as of now, by means of their ideologies, and by means ultimately of the God that they serve, right? Which is Satan. Verse number, let's jump up. So we know that the waters that she sits upon are the nations. There is a kingdom on the earth that God is saying has more authority and complete control over the other nations. For every other nation to prosper, even today, they still have to have the Federal Reserve notes, the dollars, as part of their reserve currency. Every nation has a storehouse of dollars. Every nation is in bed and has dealt with the International Monetary Fund, with the World Bank, with the Federal Reserve, with America's philosophies of democracy, Christianity, politics, foreign policy. Every nation's involved, right? So it's no surprise that all of these nations are still following the program of these global elites, right? Who use America as their headquarters. Revelation 17 and 2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the world have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So all of these kings of the earth, prime ministers, you still have actual kings, you have presidents, right? You have these different people that run these nations. They are committing spiritual fornication with America, right? What is spiritual fornication? That is idolatry, right? They're committing idolatry and blasphemy with America. For you to believe that you have the right, the God-given right, to control the sons of God, to be able to identify who's who, track them, imprison them, enslave them, and ultimately they're going to kill the people, as we'll read on later, that are not complicit with this system. You know, and as you watch, it's moving fast, right? They're beginning to construct the 15-minute cities where they're going to isolate everybody into a 15-minute boundary, and you can't go outside of your boundary. They're beginning to have everything in a biometric standpoint. They're beginning to have scans and fingerprint readings and, you know, tracking your iris and linking it to your bank account and linking all these things up, man. They're taking over the farms. Bill Gates, the Moabites, they're buying up all these farms in America. Even farmers now, man, I'm gonna go into it later. They can't even have cattle. You know, they can't have land and cattle without going through certain things, man, from the beast. So this devil is harvesting up all of the water. He's blowing up all of the oil refinery plants on purpose. I believe you had like 28. Let me pull this. Did I have this? Let's see. I had a map. All right, hold on. If you've been watching, you've been seeing all the refineries that have been blowing up. Thought I had a map. But there's 10 refineries in 21 days. This is not coincidental for the so-called white man to get all these nations to blow up by accident or by a fire or by an arsonist or by war oil refineries. This is them hitting that self-destruct button on this current system. That's what they're doing. They're hitting the self-destruct. To the public, you would think that these are external wars, or you would think that, they're not in agreement with one another. India doesn't like America. America doesn't like Australia. You would think that the way the media portrays it, but these elites are running all things, and all these nations are on board against the sons of God, against the Most High, and against Yahweh Shai. That's why you have some in Romania, Mexico, Texas, Australia, India, Russia. Every day they're blowing up these oil refineries to spike up the prices, that there could be riots in the cities, riots in the countries, that they can come out with martial law, destroy everything, and then come out as if they have the great idea to solve everything, right? So this is the system that they're currently destroying. What you're looking at is a self-destruct button being pressed by the elites on this current system, right? And all nations, pursuant to Revelation 17, they're on board, right? Let's read on in Revelation 17 and verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So this is America and NATO and the EU, all right? And this is their power that they have. Their 7 heads, their 10 horns are your 7 major Edomite provinces and kingdoms: Greece and Rome and Spain and France and Germany and Russia and Great Britain. You have your 10 horns, which is your modern day EU. All right, they get their power from the beast. Verse 4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Right? So she has a cup full of sin. And in order for you to lay down with her, you have to drink of her wine. You have to accept her foreign policy. You have to accept her financial system. Ultimately, you have to be down with this new world order, this system. All nations are involved. Verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So why does it say mystery? Because again, even to this current day, there are people on the earth who do not know, who may not know, they don't know who's responsible, again, even for something as simple as, where is it at? The oil refineries. It's a mystery. Is there a serial arsonist doing it? Who's killing all of the scientists? I don't know if brother saw that. They're killing off all of the scientists. They're blowing up all of the oil refinery plants. They're causing war on the earth. Who's doing all this? Who's responsible for the destruction of the earth? And people are blaming other people, man. People are blaming Trump. Trump is just a puppet. People are blaming Putin. They're puppets in the grand scheme of things. So it's still a mystery to the people, or who's pulling the strings behind the global events that are taking place in the earth. That's what the Most High said. Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So America is the creator. A mother is a creator, right? She brings life, brings things to life. Chief status as a woman is when she becomes a mother. That's the glorified state of a woman, when she can bear children, bring forth seed, and now she becomes a mother. So America is the mother of harlots. So all these other nations are harlots. China's a harlot. Japan is a harlot. Russia's a harlot. Who else? Egypt is a harlot. These Arabs in Saudi Arabia, Jordan, who are in bed with America, they're all harlots, but they were begotten through Babylon the Great. Just like our mother is wisdom. Our wisdom, Slakia, our mother is wisdom, who hath given birth to us. You know, and we're born again. America's the mother, and all these nations have been created again in the image of their mother. So they're all in the same spirit. See, the Most High said in Ezekiel, let's get this in Ezekiel 16:44. Right? It reads, let's get this. Ezekiel 16:44. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. So the mother plays a major role in the development, behavior, growth, and mindset of the daughter. So if America is the mother of harlots, that means she has major influence on every other nation on the earth. And she has got all these nations to come together with the same technology, which is the modern day speech, right? With the same biometric data, with the same sense of control, controlling resources, controlling cattle, land, controlling people's finances, their ability to breathe, how far they can walk, how much gas they can use, how much electricity they can use. They're all complicit with this by means of Esau, Babylon the Great. There is a council, or rather a group called the 14 Eyes, right? The 14 Eyes. So the 14th, this is an actual alliance. This is from January 2026, right? You can look this up. There's something called the 14 Eyes. This is a surveillance alliance with these elites that use these countries to track everything you do. It reads 14 Eyes countries. How does this alliance affect your privacy and security? Now, there are things that the Most High hath blessed man with. Man is supposed to have a sense of privacy. The Most High gave us land. You're not supposed to be stacked up in these damn apartments and projects where you have no privacy. You know, Esau don't want you to have any privacy. He don't want your thoughts to be your own thoughts. And I say this before, I said it again. Well, I said this again. I said before, however you want to say it. These devils, man, you be on social media, you be on the internet, you be thinking something, and it pops up on the screen. They have these Alexas, doorbell cameras. I saw something from, is that Prego? What's that? Is that the tomato sauce? Is that what it's called? Prego listening device. Prego, I think that's what it is. Look at this. The connection keeper. They got something now. Oh boy, that's not what it is. Right, but let's see. Here it is. They're trying so hard, man. They say, is your pasta sauce listening? Prego debuts recording device for the dinner table. You know? And they may put this in all damn foods. If you want to buy this food, it come with a damn device. And you got to use it. Or however they decide to do it. And they're listening to everything you do. You know, they're watching everything that you post. And if it's something that's against the so-called Jew or against the so-called white man or against whoever, then they'll use that and charge you with a crime unto death and put you in some concentration camp. This is real, man. And it's being spearheaded. So they're watching everything you do. Now, this is, I had this pulled up. I want to show this. This is the 14 Eyes. And you can see it's broken up into 3 categories. You have the 5 Eyes, US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Then you have the 9 eyes, which is Denmark, France, Netherlands, and Norway, plus the 5 eyes. Then you have the 14 eyes, which is the highest level of watching, the highest level of surveillance, the highest level of knowing literally everything about you, and you have no privacy. And these devils' goal is to eliminate security, privacy, your thoughts, and they can form your thoughts, control you, watch you, and do whatever they want to do to you, man. You know? So, and you see most of these countries are all part of the beast, right? This is the beast, NATO and the EU. And other countries are getting involved. They wanted to link up, when you go into this, they wanted to link up with Singapore, Japan, and other countries to all be in bed to have the 14 eyes. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but again, it says 5, 9, and 14 eyes countries. The 14 eyes, this is real. This is not something that's made up. The 14 eyes surveillance alliance are state intelligence services that monitor and shares people's internet activity. So if you looking up Hebrew Israelites online, you're watching the live, you're watching a cold cut, you're watching this camp, you're watching that camp, right? You're watching this breakdown, this documentary, this podcast. They'll share that. The whole world can communicate effectively together. And really, the internet activity that they're monitoring, first and foremost, is this truth coming out. They're not monitoring people talking about extraterrestrials. That's not as pressing. They're not talking about people watching Bigfoot. The internet activity, first and foremost, that they're monitoring is the word of God coming out, because it's waking up the elect. They know, let me get a precept, in Matthew 24, that as his word goes out, the end is going to come. Matthew 24 and 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And they don't want the end to come, because again, as their kingdom ends, our kingdom is going to begin. Let me get that in 2 Ezra 6 and 9. So they want to preach. They want to eliminate the preaching of the word. And most of the preaching of the word primarily is done through the internet. All right. So this is 2 Ezra chapter 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So in Matthew 24, when the Lord said that this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come, whose end? The so-called white man's end, America's end, the beast end, this new system that they're creating, it's all going to end. And Jacob, the Israelites, the sons of the Most High God, are going to rule the kingdom of earth in righteousness. So they want to eliminate this, man. That's what they have the 14 eyes and other programs to share your internet activity, who you are, what are your intentions, are you a threat to the new world order, are you likely to commit crime? And this is the new speech. This is the new communication that all nations have. Everybody can communicate digitally, right? Everybody has the same speech, and all these nations have the same plans to rebelling against God. And that's nothing new. We'll show you that that's nothing new. For all these heathen kingdoms to be on board against the sons of God and against the Most High God, defying laws and commandments, is nothing new. So I'm going to read this again. The 14-eye surveillance alliance, and this is just what we know. This is just what's revealed to the public. Are state intelligence services that monitor and share people's internet activity. The United States, United Kingdom, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, Denmark, France, the Netherlands, Norway, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Sweden, and Spain. That goes back to Revelation, the 17th chapter, right? The 7 heads and the 10 horns on which the woman sitteth. And they have power over the different nations. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, But this is that alliance, right? Let's Slacky. Let me read this. What is this? Bear with me. Let me close that out. Read a little of this. We're gonna move on because I want to touch on Genesis as well. So they break it down, right? What are the 5, 9, and 14 eyes? So they go into the 5 eyes, which we talked about. Then they have the 5 eyes plus. Then they have the 6 eyes. See, it says the 6 eyes was a failed agreement between the 5 eyes, France, Israel, Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. So everybody's getting involved. They say it didn't work out then, but that doesn't mean that these nations aren't still working on it. They're ironing out their differences and whatever political schisms they had. But the Moabites are involved. The Ammonites are involved. Amalek is involved. There should be a prophecy or a precept that comes to your mind. Psalms 83, right? For brothers, sisters that's thinking about all these nations coming together. Then you got the 9 eyes, France, Denmark, Norway, and the 14 eyes. Okay? So they're all breaking it down. Japan is involved. South Korea is involved. The beast is involved. All these nations are involved, and they communicate effectively to know who is a potential rebel to the New World Order and who is not. And that's prophecy as well. Let's get this in Daniel 7 and 8. Right? Let's go to the book of Daniel. And let's read the Most High speaking about this. All nations have the same language all over again. They all have the same speech all over again. And they have the same agenda all over again to defy the Most High God, take the control away from God, put the pride and power into their own hands, and run the earth as they deem fit. All right? This is Daniel 7 and 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, and this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So Daniel saw America come into power. That's what he's mentioning right here. Let's read it again and break it down. Daniel 7 and 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn. The little horn is America, who came out of England and formed the so-called 13 colonies, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. The 3, we break this down all the time. The 3 horns plucked up by the roots are France, that was taken out in the French and Indian War, the Quasi-War, and also they were bought out with the Louisiana Purchase. The second horn that was plucked up by the roots was England. They were taken out in the Revolutionary War, as well as the War of 1812. The third horn that was plucked up by the roots was Spain and the Spanish-American War. This is how America was able to seize the continental United States from the East Coast to the West Coast, because they took down those 3 horns. And we've showed that map before, but we'll show it again. Right? Brothers should be very familiar with it. Right? Let's see. So these are the 3 horns they took out. And they plucked them up by the roots, and America declared their independence, became a sovereign nation, and took over these territories. Now, what else did the Most High say about this little horn in Daniel, the 7th chapter? It also reads, let's read on. Daniel 7 and 8, reading on. And behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So the eyes like the eyes of a man is that this beast or this creature has the same insight, understanding, and desires of power, control, and intelligence as man. That's what it means, the eyes like the eyes of man. Because remember, these other beasts, they have eyes of beast. You read about these 4 beasts in this chapter. You read about the lion, right, with eagle's wings, right? When you read this, you read about the bear that raised up itself on one side. You read about the leopard with 4 heads and 4 wings of a fowl. They all have the eyes of beasts, very carnal, low level. This beast has the eyes of man. He's on a different level of understanding. Your eyes represent wisdom and understanding and knowledge. All right, let's get that in Ephesians 1. That's what your eyes represent. Ephesians 1 and 18. The eyes of your understanding being enlightened, that ye may know what is the hope of his calling and what the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints. Does this literally mean the eyes of your literal eyes being enlightened? No, it means your mind. As you hear the word of God, this truth, your mind becomes from a state of darkness and it evolves to a state of light. It's enlightened. Eyes represent understanding and wisdom and intelligence. Let's get another precept. Let's go to Revelation 3. So this beast had the eyes like the eyes of a man. That's why they have groups like the 14 eyes. They know who they are. This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse number 18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear, and anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. So this is counsel from the Most High God for you to repent, endure the temptations, purify your spirit. That's what this means. Buy gold and get a white garment. It's talking about purifying yourself, removing sin. White represents purity, chastity, holiness, godliness. And you buy that white garment by repenting. When you buy something, you exchange this for that. It's an exchange of goods. So in order for the Most High to give you the white garment, there's something that you have to exchange. You got to exchange the old man. You will not get a white garment without exchanging the old man, without exchanging humility and a humble mind. This is how you buy these things, to clothe yourself so your sins don't be seen. The next thing you got to buy is the eye salve. The eye salve represents the Holy Spirit that you can see. Does that mean literally? No, it means spiritually. Your mind can be enlightened from darkness to light. All of the sons of God should have purchased their eye salve. And it's limited time only. Buy the eye salve while you can. Most High willing, brothers, understand. So back in Daniel 7 and 8, the eyes like the eyes of a man represent a mind of understanding, insight. You understand? Intelligence, wisdom. That's why this beast has technology. He proclaims himself as being God. He says that he's the Lord, the Most High God. He has all of the biometric data. He has all of this information. And his mouth speaketh great things through his media, through his artwork, through education systems, through science. He speaks great things, that he's the Most High. He's Yahweh Shai. We're just niggers. He's the real Jews. All of these things he speaks. You can't speak against me, or that's hate speech. These are great things. Now I have to pull it up real quick. I simply just typed this in about the eyes like the eyes of a man. It says these eyes represent human pride, surveillance, and intelligence, highlighting that the figure is not just a beast-like power, but intelligent, boastful, and deceptive. And we showed you in the precepts, right? So they have groups like the 14 eyes, like these other surveillance groups, because that's really a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. The eyes like a man and the mouth that speaketh great things. And they're all able, these great things that they speak, a lot of these nations have learned this language, right? The Moabites have learned this. Other Edomite countries have learned this. All nations have come together and they're all in cahoots with America. And this language, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai Shai, it's not just English, it's how they think, what their motives are, what their agendas are. That's what they're speaking, the blasphemies. right? So all nations coming together. I mean, we read it in Revelation 17, right? But it's nothing new. That goes all the way back, which I really wanted to touch on. That goes back to Genesis, the 10th chapter, right? Let's go to actually I want to get one more in the eyes. Right? Let's go to Job 39. Right? This is it's a good precept brothers can add. This Job, that's what I want, Slacky. Job 39 and 27. Job chapter 39 and 27. It reads, doth the eagle mount up at thy command and make her nest on high? I mean, does the eagle just take regular instructions from you? No. The eagle is proud. This is a rhetorical question showcasing the pride of the eagle that it does not take correction, just like the so-called white man. She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock and the strong place. So eagles live high up in caves, high up in mountains. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold the far off. Yes, literally eyes of an eagle. They have great vision. But why do eagles have great vision? For what? Is that to be nice to other creatures? For love and joy? They have eyes to hunt. They have understanding to hunt and to kill. I believe they can see like a mile away. Now, this is in the spirit characteristics of the so-called white man. America, Esau, he lives in the rocks. He lives in the mountains. He lives in these skyscrapers. These he uses satellites. He's high up, cameras and all types of technology to behold afar off, to hunt you and to kill you. Let's get that in Obadiah, right? Let's get that in Obadiah. Obadiah 1 and verse number 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? That's the pride of the so-called white man. Can't nobody take me down. I'm waiting on Yahweh Shai. That's what he's saying. He said, I got something for him. Let the Lord pull up. Let the Most High, I want to see the Most High one-on-one. He can't take me down. Can't nobody bring me down. Only Esau can say that because he dwells in the clefts of the rock. He's high up. And even his technology is high up. And he's always watching, like I read in Job 39, his eyes are beholding afar off. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, or among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, said the Lord. So Esau has exalted himself as the eagle, the same eagle whose eyes behold afar off in Job 39. So Esau exalts himself as the eagle because the eagle is a bird of prey, and his devil hunts you down. And all of these technology things he has is to hunt you, man, with his eyes, to hunt you afar off and to speak great things. This is from, where did I get this from? MSN, right? Labor Council to use AI CCTV to spy on public and flag any suspicious behavior. Now, what's suspicious behavior? Could that be you reading your Bible, reading the Apocrypha, being at camp, shaking the hand, waking up the saints? That might be behavior that they don't deem fit. See, right now you can go to camp and, you're in the middle of damn nowhere and nobody really knows. I mean, people know, but, you're kind of doing your thing, right? It's getting to the point where they're watching everything, right? You're shopping, you're buying, you're selling, all of that, right? So let's go to that. Let's tie that in after I read a little bit. Let's tie this in into Genesis, right? And why this is the same spirit as Genesis, the 10th chapter. It says a labor council will become the first to deploy AI-assisted CCTV cameras to spy on the public and spot suspicious behavior. Hammersmith and Fulham Council in West London plans to modify 500 street cameras with AI that can automatically flag aggressive behavior, or suspicious shopping patterns, whatever that means, right? This is completely up to their own judgment. Whatever shopping patterns are, right? You bought, fringes. You ordered a Bible. You got an apocrypha. Oh, this guy must be an Israelite. Oh, this person's aggressive. They did this. They did that. Look how they look at that white man. Hey, we don't know exactly what this means to them and what the punishments are going to be. And this is coming all over the world. They're already doing this in China. They're doing it out in Japan, Russia, India, America. Now, let's see how far they go. All nations, again, if you understand the spirit, all nations are communicating and they all have the same speech all over again because they're all doing the same thing to defy the Most High God, led by Esau. It says, but there are concerns, innocent people going about their lives could be wrongfully reported to the authorities. And this happened. Out there in England, they used the facial scan and they charged that they thought that this guy was a criminal. And they ended up locking this guy up. They rolled up on him. He's just walking in the street. They got these glasses to scan. They said that's one of the threats to the system. And they arrested that guy. He said, I'm not the guy. And they apologized. So you could be out walking with your family, you at the gas station or whatever, and you just get jammed up. It is feared that hugs, back slaps, and high fives might be mistaken for aggression. You might be out shopping, somebody watching you, you shake somebody's hand, it go from green to red, an alert trigger, all hell break loose. And shoppers shaking or rattling items or holding clothes up to the light could trigger an alert about a potential thief. So they're watching. Right? And this guy, where is he at? I have to find it. But a guy actually got caught up in that, man. Right? A guy got caught up in that. So I want to go to Genesis, the 10th chapter. Right? The second, Nimrod's second tower. Right? This is Genesis chapter 10, and we'll read verse 1. This is after the flood. Everything that we went into, there's nothing new under the sun. All these events, that same spirit of total control, rebellion against God, all nations are in the same wavelength, same spirit. That spirit goes back to the ancient times, right after the flood, during the days of Nimrod. For brothers that don't know who Nimrod is, we're going to break that down and what he did and who he is. This is Genesis chapter 10 and 1. Now, these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. These are all so-called Japhetic nations. All these nations, they were in the isles of the Mediterranean, and they were into Europe, right? Different parts of Greece, different parts of Italy, and different parts of Europe. That was the original habitation for the Japhites. Prior to Esau going and killing off those dark nations and displacing them and taking their land. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elishah, and Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, and their nations. Right? So the Most High's overall program is to divide the nations. The Most High does not want all of the nations coming together to do their own thing. Right? The Most High has separated nations. He has made them different. They have their own boundaries. They have their own languages. As of now, they have their own mindset. That's why the Most High made them. Even after the flood, they were supposed to disperse throughout the world and be fruitful and multiply. And the Most High, he's into division. And when the kingdom of heaven is established again, the Most High is going to do this great division and scattering all over again. Right? Now, let me get that in Acts 17 real quick. Right? This is Acts 17 and verse number 26. And hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. So everybody comes out of Adam through Noah and through Noah's 3 sons, and the Lord determined where you're going to live at, how much land this nation is going to have, how much land the Israelites are going to have. Where is Esau going to dwell? Where are the Moabites going to dwell? All of their boundaries were already appointed. So it's not up to the so-called white man to move everybody as he deems fit. See, everybody is, the world is completely out of order. Everybody's boundaries are out of order. Chinese man ain't supposed to be over there. Who the hell told him to go over there? Who told the so-called white man to go into Europe? Go to America. Take over the land of Israel. Why? The Israelites are scattered abroad. Nobody's in their respective boundaries and lands. And that was the original program of the Most High. Right? He doesn't want all of the people coming together. Like now, through technology, biometrics, 14 eyes, the beast, all these systems, everybody's coming back together all over again to take control. But let's go back to Genesis 10. This is Genesis chapter 10 and 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Right? Now, Cush are your so-called Ethiopians, right? These are your so-called Ethiopians. And a lot of these Ethiopians, they themselves know that they are Cush. This is Cush right here. Right? These are your so-called Cushites. And again, a lot of them actually know that they're Ethiopian. These are your Somalians, people of Djibouti, right? Eritrea, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. These are your Cushites. Another nation that the Most High named was Mizraim. Mizraim are your so-called Egyptians, right? These are your Egyptians, but it's really, let's see if we could pull this. The people, the Sudanese, they got pushed south, and these are these Egyptians. The Egyptians in Egypt now are a mix of Arabs, so-called white men, and other Hamitic tribes. But your true Egyptians are the people south of Egypt, of Sudan. These are the sons of Ham. Another son he had was Phut, and he had Canaan. Phut are your so-called North Africans. These are your people of Algeria, Morocco, right, etc. Let's pull up, they call them Berber tribes. Let's see, Algerians. A lot of them are mixed with the Arabs and what have you, but the original Algerians, the original Moroccans, are a dark-skinned people. Okay? They're a dark-skinned people. So these are the people of Phutites. Right? These are your Phutites. And then you have your Canaanites, which are your other Hamitic tribes that have been displaced from the land of Canaan throughout other parts of sub-Saharan and South Africa. Now, let's talk about one of these sons in the next verse. This Genesis chapter 10 and 7. And the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Raamah, and Septeka, and the sons of Raamah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. So one of the offspring of Cush is a man named Nimrod. Right? Now, Nimrod's name, it means, you go into it, they should have it on here, to rebel or rebellion. Right? Here's Nimrod. Let's see what they have. They say Nimrod. Let's go up. Here you have rebellion or the valiant. The son of Cush, grandson of Ham, and great grandson of Noah, a mighty hunter, he established an empire in the area of Babylon and Assyria. So he was one of the world's first dictators, emperors, if you will. Okay. And it says he began to be a mighty one in the earth. And this isn't mighty in terms of, oh, he was mighty because he prayed or he fasted. He was mighty because he gave to the poor. Doesn't mean that he was mighty because he served the Most High with all his heart, his mind, body, and soul. No, this means he was mighty in evil, mighty in sin, mighty in rebellion, right? Mighty warrior, mighty murderer, mighty killer, a mighty idolater. And for him to be mighty in the earth, he had a lot of influence on the other tribes and the other people that were with him. Let me get a quick precept. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. How does the Most High show the transition from being a nobody to a somebody, right? Or from being lowly to being mighty? This is 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse number 8. Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus said the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight. And that was by war, right? And have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. So through war, through conquest, David became mighty. David got a great name, and David was well respected by all of the rest of the Judites and the rest of the northern tribes at that time. And he was ruler over all Israel. And he became great and mighty by cutting off his enemies and by means of war, right? So that same spirit rested on Nimrod, but on the left-hand side. Now, as you read on, it tells you how he became mighty, right? Let me get a quick precept. I believe I want Psalms 52. Esau's mighty, but he's mighty in wickedness, right? He's mighty in evil. This Psalms 52 and 1. Now, check this out. It says, to the chief musician, Machil, a psalm of David, when Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul and said unto him, David is come to the house of Elimelech. So he snitched, man, and killed the priest. Now, this is about the Edomite. Check out what David said. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. So David called Esau a mighty man. Was he mighty again because he was a man of the Lord? He had an ephod and he served the Most High day and night? No. He was a mighty man because he was mighty in sins, mighty in evil and destruction. All right. And let's see some of the traits that makes one a mighty man and evil on the left-hand side. It reads, thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. So lies, mischief, deceit, war, evil, all these things make you a mighty man of Satan, a mighty man of the devil. So that's what Genesis chapter 10 and 8 is going into, right? People may read that and think that he was mighty because, he was righteous. That's not what it means. Even Nicanor in Second Maccabees, he said, I also am mighty in the earth. Let me get that real quick, right? Just to get another precept. I didn't plan on going into that, but let's get that in second. I believe that's Second Maccabees. This is Second Maccabees chapter 15 and verse number 4. And when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty, who commanded the seventh day to be kept. That's what the priest said. The priest said, we got to keep the Sabbath. The Lord is mighty and said this has to be done. It's a law. What did Nicanor say when he heard that the Most High was mighty? Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon earth, and I command to take arms and to do the king's business, yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done. Right? So men can be mighty on the earth, but mighty in evil. Right? We get the point. Back in Genesis 10 and 8. And Cush begot Nimrod, he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Now, let's go into this word hunter. You have two types of hunters. You have people that hunt deer, right? They hunt, antelope and different creatures with a bow and an arrow. Then you have people that hunt men. They hunt men through war, through snares, traps, philosophies, religions, science. Like Esau, he's a hunter. The Bible says Esau is a cunning hunter. So a lot of the traps that this so-called white man sets up, you don't even know that you're being hunted when you watch the TV. You don't know you're being hunted when you enroll in his colleges. You don't know you're being hunted when you're taking his pharmaceutical medicines and taking all types of jabs. You don't know you're being hunted. You think that you're in the time of your life and taking care of your health and just, doing what you have to do. So Esau, let me actually get that. The Bible says he himself is a cunning hunter. That's the same type of hunter that Nimrod was. Genesis chapter 25 and verse number 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. So again, you have things that are broken down on a physical level, but then you have things that have to be broken down on a spiritual level. And again, through religion, policies, science, the media, propaganda, subliminal messages, witchcraft, we're always being hunted. We as a people, we are always being hunted by these devils, man. Now, they're even saying that on some of these islands, some of these lewd resorts, they actually import, Jake, and they actually hunt, man. They get rifles. They get shotguns. They take pictures. They'll have a Jake chained up somewhere. And you gotta believe me, this stuff is happening. They'll let Jake go. Jake runs out in the forest somewhere at night, and Esau, they'll count the damn 200, get their rocks off while they count, then they go hunt Jake down. They were doing that in slavery times, man. So you can hunt down people. Let me get this in Lamentations, the 4th chapter. Lamentations chapter 4 and 17. This to help you understand what kind of hunter Nimrod was. As for us, our eyes have yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, our end is come. Through the police, they hunt your steps. Through the military, they hunt our steps. Child protective services, they hunt your steps. Foster care system, they hunt your steps. False charges through the court system, they hunt your steps. And you can't even go out, man. You get shot, arrested. It's like you're arrested, have your children taken from you, beat upside the head. Right? So hunting, it's not just beast, but it's also man. All right, and that's the type of hunter Nimrod was. David knew about that type of spirit because he had to deal with Saul. Here's what David said about that. 1 Samuel chapter 24 and verse 11. Moreover, my father, see, yea, see the skirt of thy robe in my hand. For in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe and killed thee not. Know thou and see that there is neither evil nor transgression in mine hand. And I have not sinned against thee, yet thou huntest my soul to take it. You see that? Because Saul was always looking to kill David. Rather, he was in the mountain, in the city, in the field. He got off on hunting down David. So Saul was a cunning hunter. Or he was a foolish hunter because he wasn't successful. Successful hunters kill their prey. They don't come back empty-handed. They come back with a deer over their shoulders and the back of a pickup truck, and they eat off the fruit of their labor. So Saul wasn't a cunning hunter. He was a demonic, foolish hunter, and he sought to hunt down David's soul. People can hunt your soul. In Ezekiel, the Lord speaks about the woman that will hunt people's souls through witchcraft. So going back to Genesis, the 10th chapter, where it says what? Genesis chapter 10, and I want verse number 9 again. It reads, he was a mighty hunter before the Lord, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Let's get one more quick precept on hunting. Right, let's go to Psalm 17. Psalm chapter 17 and verse number 12. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. You know, first thing that come to my mind when I read this is driving and you get pulled over out of nowhere. Esau in the damn forest with his headlights off, car in silent, sitting there, man. Next thing you know, damn police behind you, trying to figure out where the hell they came from. Undercover agents, detectives, military, they're in secret places looking to hunt you down. And there was a I'll get there's another precept I wanted. Right? Most are willing to come back to me. Right? But again, Esau is a cunning hunter, and Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Right? A mighty hunter before the Lord. Now, when it says before the Lord, it really means against the Most High. He rose up into power. He took down other tribes. Now you can say, well, I don't see that right there. A lot of things in Genesis is not written black and white. That's why you have to go through the precepts. You have to extrapolate and use the precepts to have the understanding. Well, brother, it doesn't say that he was a warrior. It doesn't say that. Well, first of all, in order to come into power, it has to be done by either peace or by war. And in the spirit, we know Nimrod was wicked. And we went to 2 Samuel, the 7th chapter, to show that he cut off all his enemies, and David got a great name. When you think of Nimrod, think about charismatic world dictators. Think about charismatic world dictators. Think about people like Hitler. Think about people like Stalin. Think about people like even this devil Trump. Right? These charismatic world powers, people that get people to follow them. Right? That get people to follow them and hunt them down. Let's get Micah 7. And again, like a lot of brothers don't know they're being hunted, man. Again, all this technology, media, all this stuff is to hunt you down, to kill you in the days of evil. Micah 7 and verse number 2. Let's read it. Micah 7 and 2. The good man is perished out of the earth, and there is none upright among men. They all lie in wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with the net. And this was Jake doing this, man. Micah was prophesying against the Israelites about all of their mighty sins. Scriptures speak about mighty sins. I know thy mighty sins. So you could be mighty in sin. And you could hunt people for blood. Now, when you look up the map, let's pull up a map of the sons of Noah and see where Nimrod came from. All right, let's see where he came from, how he rose into power. Now, let's see if I get a better map. We'll do something simple, right? Let's see if we can. That's Facebook. I don't want Facebook. Let's see. Right, bear with me. I want to get something simple. And we'll use this map, right? We'll use this. This is fine. Let's open this up. You look on this map right here, right? Up in Europe are where the Japhites dwelt at. We read that in Genesis 10. And the land of Ham, or Africa, so-called Africa, it's the land of Ham where the Hamites dwelt. The sons of Shem dwelt in Mesopotamia, Arabia, and the Fertile Crescent, and somewhat of Asia Minor. This is where the sons of God dwelt at. Now, keep in mind, when the ark rested, the ark landed in Ararat, right? The ark landed in Mount Ararat. That's out there in Turkey/Armenia. And afterwards, the Most High, as they exited the ark, the Most High commanded them to be fruitful and multiply. So they were given particular land masses by God through Noah that they had to dwell in, that they were assigned. Let's prove that. And Nimrod came out of one of those lands and began to be a great force in the earth. Let's go to Genesis, the 9th chapter, real quick. Genesis chapter 9:1. And the Most High blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So you're supposed to put more people on earth, which means you have to spread abroad because everybody can't stay in one landmass. There's not enough resources. It's not enough land. Even Abram and Lot, they couldn't dwell together. They had all these children or, all these men servants and cattle. They were so great, they had to leave because the land couldn't handle them both. So as the generations came, they were forced and called to disperse. So everybody can have land and have water, and your cattle can have grass, and things can be done in order. That's replenishing the earth, not just everybody sitting in one place. Not like the so-called white man got you stacked up in a 50-story project somewhere. That's not replenishing the earth. Everybody having babies, and there's babies crying from the 50th floor to the first floor, and you can't leave. And these doubles, man, they don't want you to replenish the earth. They want to destroy you with food and sterilize you through medicine, lower your libido with junk food and all types of damn ingredients, man. Kill off your sperm cells, sterilize your woman, kill her eggs off, depopulate the earth. This society is contrary to the will of God. Abort your children. They do not want you to replenish the earth. But that was the charge given to the sons of God. Let's read that again. Let's jump down to verse 7. And you be ye fruitful and multiply and bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. So you're supposed to spread abroad, right? So everybody was given a particular land and portion that they had to go to. Now, Nimrod is in the land of Cush. He came from Cush. Cush is in modern-day Ethiopia. And from Cush, he began to rise into power, right? He began to rise into power through conquest and hunting and conquest and hunting souls, and he began to be great in the earth. Now, let's go back to Nimrod, all right? Let's go back to him. That's his origin. That's his origin. Now, in Genesis chapter 10 and 10, it says, "And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar." So he began to build a kingdom. You can't build a kingdom by yourself. In order to have a kingdom, you have to have subjects. You have to have artificers. You have to have blacksmiths. You have to have goldsmiths, right? You have to have weapon makers. You have to have potters. You have to have law givers, officers, architects, masons, councils. These are the things that are key to establishing any kingdom. All of the kings of Judah, they had these things. They had this. You read about this man being over the household. This man being the king's counselor. This guy was the recorder. This guy was the priest. You don't think Nimrod had all of these things, man? You think he was one guy building a kingdom by himself? That's not how kingdoms are established. Kingdoms are established through war, through conquest, and you have to have subjects and people with particular talents and skills and education to create and maintain your kingdom. So his kingdom was Babel and Erech and Akkad and Calneh and the land of Shinar. Now, let's go pull up a map of the land of Shinar. Right? The land of Shinar is in modern day Iraq. So he came from this region and he pushed somewhat of a military campaign out to the land of modern day Iraq. That's the land of Shinar. Let's put land of Shinar. Okay. Let's see. Let's pull this up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, that's a small map. I want to see if I can get this a little bit larger. So we got to go into this geography, right? WFI geography. So again, this is the land of Shinar. If you look it up today, it's around modern day Iraq, somewhere around that region, Mesopotamia. And this was his kingdom from Cush. And he built these kingdoms, and the land of Shinar. Now, keep in mind, he was already given his land. He already had his land. So who in the hell told him to take over that land? Because that land was already given to the sons of God. After the flood, a lot of the sons of God, they dwelt in that region already. Aram, where you get Syria from, Arphaxad, Elam, they dwelt in that region. So Nimrod got into that region. Now, does it say there were wars? Or we can't go, we can't say that Nimrod fight against Arphaxad. We can't go that far, right? We don't know. But, right, through the spirit, for Nimrod to be able to establish a kingdom, he would have had to have an army. And for him to build multiple cities, would have had to have followers. For him to get to this land, there's no account of him coming with peace and love. So he got into this land and he began to build. He began to build. Let's go to Genesis 11. And it wasn't him building. He had slaves and subjects to build. This is Genesis chapter, and it's the same thing with the so-called white man. There's I don't even want to use the word uncanny because it's not a coincidence. There are very great similarities between the birth and rise of Nimrod and Esau here in America. They both moved the land. They went from the land that God ordained them. Nimrod from the land of Cush migrated east to the land of Shinar. Esau from Mount Seir migrated to this side of the world, right? Migrated west and took over America. They both were cunning hunters. They both had followers. They both waged war, and they both built kingdoms. And they both were wicked, and they both unified all people, and they both rebelled against God. And we're going to read about that. This is Genesis 11:1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And that speech, that language is the pure Hebrew tongue. That is the tongue in the heavens. Okay, let's get that in Acts 26. That is the tongue in the heavens. That is the language that was spoken. Acts 26:14. And when they were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me, saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. So they were all given the Hebrew language. Remember, that language came from Adam when he named all of the animals with Hebrew names, Aleph, Gamal, Kalab, right? Aleph is a cattle. Gamal is a camel. What else did I say? It's like a Kalab, that's dog. So he named all these different animals. Okay. Now, that language was passed down to Seth, to Enos, to Canaan, to Mahalalel, to Jared, to Enoch, to Methuselah, to Lamech, to Noah, to Shem. That was passed down to Ham, and that was passed down to Japheth. Ham passed that language down to his sons, to Cush, and all these men, they all spoke the Hebrew. One language and one speech. Now, why did the Most High give us language and speech? Was it to do what the so-called white man in these nations are doing now through technology, biometrics? Is it to construct the tower to rebel against God? Why was man created with that element of speech? Right? This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, and I'm going to read verse number 5. This is about the creation of man. They received the use of the 5 operations of the Lord. The 5 operations of the Lord that we received is sight, smell, hearing, touch, and taste. Right? We're able to operate and function through these these devices that the Most High gave us. And in the 6, he imparted them understanding. So we are able to have comprehension skills. We can comprehend what's good, what's evil, what's righteous, what's wicked, what this is. We can identify species. We can identify herbs. We have the ability to comprehend the creation of the Most High God. And in the 7th, speech, an interpreter of the cogitations thereof. So our speech is us being able to verbally communicate the thoughts that the Most High gave us. Counsel and a tongue, eyes, ears, and a heart, he gave them to understand. So we have the ability to make decisions, right? Do I want to sleep? Do I want to stay up? Do I want to drink water? Do I want to drink wine, right? Should this brother be destroyed? Should I marry this woman? That's counsel. We have the ability to navigate and make decisions in our mind. We're given a tongue to speak, eyes to see, obviously, ears to hear, and a mind to understand the will of God. Verse 7, withal, he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil. It's like it. He set his eyes upon their hearts that he might show them the greatness of his work. So the Most High is allowing us to know that what we see is created by something outside of us. We were given that spirit. That's why the concept of a God is always throughout all generations, because there is a God. His name's Yahweh, Bashmi Awashad. It's not man's imagination to always have a concept of a power. It's because there is a power, because the Most High instilled in man to know about him. It's not an imagination of man. We are created and designed to believe in the Most High God, because we're created in his image. And we're able to see his works. Verse number, let's read two more. 9. He gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, that they might declare his works with understanding. So we were given speech for what? Were we given speech to murmur, backbite, slander, whisper, rebel against God, put laws into play that say you could be a homosexual, put laws into play that say we're going to watch you, monitor you, starve you, take your land, put you in a small city, take all your resources, you'll own nothing? Is that why they were given speech? No. We were given speech for what? Let's read the next verse. And the elect shall praise his holy name. So we were given speech to praise Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, and to declare the works of God with understanding. That's the job of us, to say, you know what? This is why the Most High made the moon. It serves this purpose. The fishes, these are the fishes you can eat. This is the work of God that you cannot eat. Here's why the Most High made you. Everybody was given a level of speech to talk about the works of the Most High with understanding. Okay? So what we were supposed to do, what the sons of God were doing at this time, is the speech that they were given to Hebrew, they used it to do everything that I just read about. Because during this time, keep in mind, as Nimrod was building and waging this campaign and going to the land of Shinar, were alive. The sons of God were alive. Let's pull up a map, a genealogy of the sons of God. Let's see, family tree of Shem. These are the sons of God. Okay? So you had Arphaxad, Salah, Eber, Peleg. These men were alive as the Tower of Babel was being built. Primarily, you read about Eber and Peleg. So the sons of God were alive. Okay, and we're going to read a little bit more about the sons of God. The sons of God were declaring the works with understanding and serving the Most High. These are the men that came out of Shem and Arphaxad, the chosen lineage. While they were serving the Most High, let's see what the other people of the earth were doing. And that's, again, as we read this, think about here and now. Think about these last days. The sons of God are still serving the Most High, and all these nations are coming together for total control. Genesis 11:2. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. Now, is this a righteous decree? You see these key words? There's a lot to unpack in this verse right here. First of all, nobody told them to do this. Second of all, they said, let us build us a city. They didn't want to build the Most High city. They didn't want to build the Most High tower. See, their mindset, these heathen mindset, is different than the mindset of the sons of God. What was the mindset of Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? What did they build for the Lord? They built altars. What we construct and build is to serve God. What these nations build is to serve themselves. Let's get that. David had a mind to build a temple to the Lord. He pondered and created a blueprint to build something for the Most High. The heathen, they want to build things for death and for destruction and for total control. We want to build things for life and reverence. That's the difference between us and these heathen. When the Most High said we're above all nations, that's not just talking about running fast. jumping high, dressing good, cooking good. That's talking about our approach when it comes to worship and what we deem is important and who we deem is important. Our whole approach to reverence and worship and to spiritual matters is completely above and beyond what these heathen could even think of, right? After the flood, what did Noah do, man? Type in Noah, Slocky. Let's get Genesis 8. This Genesis chapter 8 and verse 20. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord and took of every clean beast and every clean fowl and offered burnt offerings on the altar. That was beautiful, righteous, godly. Noah didn't say, I want to build a damn tower to reach unto heaven. Who the hell thinks like that? I'm going to build me a city. After the flood, all right, fam, let's get building a city. No, man. Noah said, I'm building a vineyard, man. Right? He said, man, I was on that ark. All you animals, all you, my sons, they wives, we on that ark for God knows how long. I'm building me a vineyard, man. I'm planting me a little garden. I'm drinking me a little wine. That's what we into. If I had the means and the time and the resources to plant a vineyard, I would do it. You know, I'm not thinking about, you know what, I want to build a city. Not in this lot. So our fathers built things that were righteous. We built pillars and things of that nature, right, to glorify God. This is Genesis chapter 35 and verse number 12. And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land. This is the Most High talking to Jacob. And the Most High went up from him in the place where he talked with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, even a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon. Jacob was in the spirit. The Most High came to him, and he went out of his way to set up a pillar for God. What we build is for the Most High. Even in these last days, our temple, and when we come together and we speak the same thing and the same language, which is this truth, we're building a temple for the Most High God. These heathen, they come together through artificial intelligence, biometrics, wicked laws, and they build things against God. We build things for the Most High. That's why we do videos. That's why we go to camp. That's why we teach. That's why brothers are coming into the truth, because we're building a temple. You know what kind of spirit you got to be in to say, I want to build a pillar? And how did Jacob know about drink offerings? I thought that was only given to the Levites. How did Jacob know about pouring oil? Because Jacob was a priest. Jacob was a priest of the Most High God, right? He was shown holy things and heavenly things. Let me get that in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. All of our holy patriarchs were priests. The patriarchal priesthood preceded the Levitical priesthood. Job was a priest. Abraham, Noah, they were all priests. The patriarchal priesthood. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 10. When the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, that's when Jacob fled from Esau, she guided him in right paths. So wisdom guided Jacob, showed him the kingdom of God, and gave him knowledge of holy things, and made him rich in his travels, and multiplied the fruit of his labor. So the Most High showing you some deep stuff right there. Jacob was showed the kingdom of God. And Jacob was also given knowledge of holy things, drink offerings, meat offerings, priestly things, heavenly things, visions of portals that where angels go from the third heaven to the earth, wrestling with angels. And Jacob was on a very, 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 very high level, prophesied and blessings, cursing things and taking lands. People got to stop playing with Jacob, man. Like he was just this guy that he was a trickster. That's how the so-called white man portrays Jacob. He was a trickster and he got the best over in Esau, and he's going to, forever be a man of guile. No, he was showed the kingdom of God. And that knowledge he had, he said, you know what? I'm going to build a pillar, and I'm going to do drink offerings. I'm going to pour oil for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Genesis 35:15. And Jacob called the name of the place where the Most High spake with him, Bethel, which is Bayath Allah. He said, this is the house of God. Now, we see the spirit of our fathers. What's the spirit of these heathen again? Let's read it again. Genesis chapter 11:4. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower. That's not the spirit of Noah. That's not the spirit of Jacob. What is this city and this tower for? Is this city to put righteousness there? No. See, the scriptures tell you about a man and a city, and the spirit of a man rests upon that city. Let's get that in Ecclesiasticus chapter 40. So the spirit of Nimrod, which is rebellion, evil, would be on that city and the people who dwell therein. Ecclesiasticus 40:19. Children and the building of a city continue a man's name, but a blameless wife is counted above them both. Right? So your children move in your image, and a city that you created, because you're going to create laws, ordinances. You're going to determine what's righteous. You're pretty much the king when you build that city. And whatever you say goes. And it continues your name because what your morals are, your ideas are, right? Your spirit, all those things remain in that city. So the city of Babel was not just the city of mortar and brick. It was a spirit in that city that carried the name of Nimrod. Not an actual name, but the spirit of Nimrod rested upon the people that dwelt in Babel. Let's get that in Ecclesiasticus chapter 10. Right? So they all had the same mind. They all spake the same thing. Just like Psalms 83. All of the heathen, they said, let us cut them off from being a nation. Okay, so there's no new thing under the sun. Same spirit, same tower. One's physical, one's spiritual. Sirach chapter 10 and verse number 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So you can't get around that. However, the leader of that city is, if he accepts homosexuality, then the people are going to accept homosexuality. If he accepts child molestation, then the people are going to accept that. If he condones and bats an eye at murder, then the people are going to do the same thing. So with that understanding, what type of city was this? What type of spirits were in Babel that they wanted to all build? This was freakism, homosexuality, idolatry, and outright confusion. Outright confusion. This is rebellion. It says, whose top may reach unto heaven. Why do you need the top to reach unto heaven? So they want to be like the Most High. They think that they have the capability to be on a level of God. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. So they knew what less means before. So it really says before we be scattered abroad, because they knew as they multiplied and grew, they would have to scatter so they could have land and have resources. But they knew before we get scattered and we repopulate the earth, here's our monument to man. We're going to glorify man. The hell with God. That's what they said. We're going to glorify our power, our intelligence, our endeavors. We don't need the Most High. This is about us right now. The hell with the Lord. Before we get scattered abroad, Before we grow and have families and children, we need to do something to commemorate man's power. Now, the scriptures don't speak about you trying to get yourself a name. The Bible says you have to get the Most High a name, or praise and glorify the name of the Lord. Let us make us a name. Who the hell cares about our name? Right? Let me get this in Isaiah 12. Let us make us a name. That's wickedness, bro. This is Isaiah chapter 12 and 4. Right? Isaiah 12 and 4. And in that day shall ye say, praise Yahweh, Bahashmi, call upon his name, declare his doings among the people, make mention that his name is exalted. And we read that in Sirach, the 17th chapter. The elect are supposed to praise the Most High's name. We're not here to get ourselves a name. We're here to glorify the name of the Most High. Yahweh Shah said it best in John 12 and 28. Father, glorify thy name. Then there came a voice from heaven saying, I have both glorified it and I will glorify it again. So we're here to glorify the name of the Father, not to glorify our name. You had men in the Bible who thought that they can make a name for themselves, and the Most High shut it all down. Let's get that in First Maccabees. And that's the problem with man. They always want to make a name for themselves. Right? Esau want to make a name for himself. These nations want to make a name for themselves. We want to glorify the name of the Most High. And if you're a brother that's seeking to make a name for yourself, that's vain, you're full of pride, you have the same spirit of Herod, Nebuchadnezzar, Trump, Esau, Cain, and Nimrod all together. We are not put on the earth. When you come into this truth, you're not here to be famous. You're not here to be a celebrity. You're not here to get the most views. You're not here to see who has the largest camp, who's the most well-dressed, who marches the best, who looks the best, who's the deepest in prophecy. We don't care about our name. When it comes to that, you want to have respect unto your name. But if you're looking to make a name for yourself, then you ain't going to last too long. You're going to be, rather using this thing for a while or not, slowly but surely, as we approach the end of the world, you're going to get rooted out this thing. And you're going to be given over to demons. Remain humble in his knowledge. Don't be like the sons of the wicked. Now check this out. Let's see an account of men who thought that they can make themselves a name. First Maccabees chapter 5 and 55. Now, what time as Judas and Jonathan were in the land of Galaad, and Simon his brother in Galilee before Ptolemais, because they split the army up to fight. Judas took these men, Simon took these men, and they went to war. What happened in the meantime? Joseph, the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captains of the garrison, heard of the valiant acts and warlike deeds which they have done. Just like Nimrod, he knew about the flood. They knew about the valiant acts of the Most High God, turning back man's time to 120 years, destroying everybody with the flood. They knew about the powerful acts of the Most High God. Just like these men knew about the mighty acts of Judas Maccabees and Simon. And they knew about their name. So what did they decide to do? It says, wherefore they said, let us also get a name and go fight against the heathen that are round about us. They said, we want to get us a name. I want to be famous. I want everybody to know me. I don't care if this is ill-advised or not. I got to get my name. People got to know me. I'm the man. I got to be the man. That's the spirit of Jacob. You got to always be the guy. You want to be the man. You got to be the guy. You got to have a woman, the cars. Jake, you just want to be be him. Jake say that I'm him. That's a demon. So what happened to these men when they tried to get a name? So when they had given charge unto the garrison that was with them, they went towards Jamnia. Then came Georgius and his men out of the city to fight against them. And so it was that Joseph and Azarias were put to flight. and pursued unto the borders of Judea. And there were slain that day of the people of Israel about 2,000 men. They got everybody killed. Doing too much, trying to make a name for themselves. You will get put to death. The Most High will humble you. They got 2,000 men killed. Let's read the next verse. Sad day. Thus was there a great overthrow among the children of Israel, because they were not obedient unto Judas and his brethren, but thought to do some valiant act. Wanted to just be famous. Right? Let's go to Matthew 23. Just wanted to make a name for themselves, man. This Matthew chapter 23 and 12. Salakia. I want Matthew 23 and 12. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. Keep that in mind, and it's truth. Remain humble. Remain lowly. Even if the Most High blesses you with wisdom, with knowledge, with a great memory, with understanding, with the beautiful wife and children, maybe the Most High give you a decent job, maybe the Most High take care of your health, he sets you up, the Most High brings you amongst the congregation, the more you see yourself increasing, don't let Satan tempt you and put demons on you to where now you feel as though you're better than the next man. That's a demon. And you start to exalt yourself, and the Most High will humble you. But if you're lowly and humble, and you serve the Most High in sincerity, and you're not looking to be exalted, the Most High will exalt you. The Most High will exalt you. Let's go back to Genesis 11. Right? It says, let's read on. And let us, Genesis chapter 11 and 4. Reading on. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. Now, I want to go into real quick the Josephus on this, right? And read a little bit more about Noah. It's like it and Nimrod, right? This is the Josephus. This is from Antiquities of the Jews, 1:4 and 1-3, right? So let's go into this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to read this part right here. Now, check this out. Now, it was Nimrod who excited. Now, for those who don't know, Josephus was an Israelite that lived, around the time of the New Testament, roughly around the Roman Jewish wars around that time. And he documented the history of the Jews, right? And about the history of the Israelites. Now, here's what he said. Now, it was Nimrod who excited them to such an affront and contempt of God. So he put spirits on the people to rebel against God. He was the grandson of Ham, the son of Noah, a bold man and of great strength of hand. He persuaded them not to ascribe it to the Most High, as if it were through his means they were happy, but to believe that it was their own courage which procured their happiness. So he told them to hell with the Most High. All of the things that feel good about you, it's you. It's no God, it's you. Your own happiness. Do as thou wilt. That food, that's because you're strong. This water you drink is because you're great and you drew that water out of the well. That animal you hunt is because you have skill. You're happy, that's you. So this was Satanism. Right? He was into Satanism and madness. If I'm happy, it's because Yahweh Bashmi Abashai. If I'm sad, I know it's of the Most High. Nimrod said, no, that's because if you're happy, you feel joy, thank yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. Esau always do that. You in school, give yourself a pat on the back. They never say praise the Most High. Give yourself a hand. No, praise the Most High, man. From a youth up, you got to damn near break your shoulder blade, man, to glorify flesh and blood. That's that Nimrod spirit. Let's read on. He gradually changed the government into tyranny seeing no other way of turning men from the fear of God, but to bring them into a constant dependence upon his power. So I need everybody to bow down to me. He also said he would be revenged on God if he should have a mind to drown the world again. He said the Most High better think twice if you want to flood the earth again. He won't have to see me. Even if he think about it, I'm going to do something to him. I got something for him. This is probably, if not the most wicked, evil, demonic, satanic, sinister, treacherous thing anybody or that has ever been created has ever framed out of their mouth. It says he also said he would be revenged on God. Then he's going to pay the Most High back. The Most High think about destroying the earth with a flood again. He said he's going to get physical. He's going to have to see me squaring up with the Lord. You know, where the angels at? Proud. It says, for that he would build a tower too high for the waters to be able to reach. So the Most High ain't, damn, he can't do nothing. I'm going to build this tower. Let him try to kill me with a flood again. Can't do nothing. Oh yeah, this tower goes beyond the heavens, beyond the mountains. Let him try to destroy the earth with a flood again. I got something for him. I got a plan. He better not think about destroying the earth with a flood again. And that he would avenge himself on God for destroying their forefathers. He said, once I built this tower and I get up there and I climb up there and I'm gonna knock the Most High off his throne. And I'm gonna sit on the throne. I'm gonna build this tower for an idol to worship. And I'm a while that flood coming, I'm gonna be up on that tower. And when I climb up to the top and I get to where the Most High is, I'm gonna revenge myself on him. Evil. Blasphemy, madness. Let's go to Sirach 10. Just outright rebellion. So Nimrod is top 3 most wicked men ever created. Right? Ever created. I'll let you figure out who you think is the other two. Right? Just know Cain is up in there too. Right? The hell with Cain. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and verse number 7. Actually, I want 10 and 12. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from God and his heart is turned away from his maker. And that's rebellion. That's Nimrod. He departed from the Most High and his mind turned back from his maker. He said, I don't want to serve the Lord. I'm going to actually revenge myself on the Most High. I got something for him, spirit. Evil, right? Evil, wickedness, right? Evil and wickedness. It reads, I'm not going to read this whole thing. Now the multitude was very ready to follow the determination of Nimrod and to esteem it a piece of cowardice to submit to God. So Nimrod put a spirit on them, according to the Josephus, where the people said, if I submit to God, that make you a coward. Stand up to God. Show him you're your own God. I ain't no coward. I ain't serving the Most High. That's cowardice. That's weak. Man is strong when man serves man. Man is strong when man makes the ideas, when man is in control, when man can watch and control all things. We don't need God anymore. It's all about us. Now that spirit is on the earth right now, man. Don't think that that's just something, in the days of Genesis. This is Job 21. Let's get a quick precept. This is Job chapter 21 and verse 7. Right? It reads, so again, a lot of things that you see happening as we read about Nimrod and the Tower of Babel and the rebellion is exactly what's happening now on the earth, right? Now, ran by Esau and has all these nations backing them up, okay? And these nations believe that if you submit to God, you're a coward. That's why they make their own gods. That's why you have Christianity, you have Islam, right? You have Buddhism, you have Taoism, you have Hinduism. You have all these religions because they believe that we don't have to serve the Most High. They're going to make up their own gods and their own mind. Job 21:7. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, are mighty in power. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Yeah, so-called white man, these heathen, they get old and they get rich. They pass wealth down. Their children inherit their wealth. Their children inherit their retirement fund, life insurance policy, 401k, grandmother's cabin, grandpa's summer cabin, the island resort. You know, these Edomites live good, man. Their lives are completely different than ours. And the Bible is showing you the difference between how we live and how they live. Job 21:9. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. And it's the opposite for us. Somebody is breaking our damn house, and the Most High is punishing us. It's neither is the rod of God upon them. I'm gonna tell you who the rod of God is on. It's on the Israelites, man. I could think of 40 plus curses proving that the rod of God is upon us. But it ain't on them. They're able to get away with all their sins and all their evil. Their boy gendereth and faileth not. Their cow calveth and casteth not her calf, meaning they have success in whatever they do. Whatever they put their hand to, it brings forth life. It brings forth success. Right? They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ. Yeah, they be in these clubs, parties, secret islands, resorts, dancing that music, bowing down to heathen gods, cocaine in the bathroom, ecstasy, EDM, freaking off, boarding school, Yale University, top corporations. You seen Wolf of Wall Street, man. They were throwing damn little people at billboards, man. Freakism. That's how these Edomites be living. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Therefore they say unto God, depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of his ways. And that's that spirit is on the earth now. They said, man, Lord, get away from us, Lord. Them laws and commandments, I don't want that knowledge. I got my own knowledge, the knowledge of man, the knowledge of finding thyself. That's why Esau always say, believe in yourself, follow your heart. You don't need God. Give yourself a pat on the back. This is your birthday. This is you, about you. The same spirit was in Genesis 11. Depart from us, God. We don't need you. We got this. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we pray into him? This is what they think, man. I don't need to pray to the Most High. You think the so-called white man praying to the Most High? You think he's fasting for his sins? You think he's calling to be delivered from oppression? All these so-called white men, I'm going to tell you something. Every so-called white man, every Edomite who says he believes in God is a damn liar. He cannot serve the Most High how we serve the Most High because the conditions do not grant him to do so. His conditions are the polar opposite of our conditions. And how we serve God is we need the Most High for deliverance, for salvation. We're poor, we're the needy, we're the oppressed. For somebody to say that a so-called white man could be saved is out of their goddamn mind. The conditions don't grant them the wherewithal to call upon the Most High for salvation, because they're not put into that situation. So they're all phony. Any Christian that say he believe in the Lord, he walking around, he don't believe in the Most High. He can't believe in the Most High. He can't cry unto the Most High. He has no need to cry unto the Most High. You think he's going on a fast for the supplication of his sins? You think he'll wear dung and ashes and sackcloth? You think he's watching his mother on crack and his father in prison and praying that the Most High deliver him? It's impossible for any heathen to serve the Most High. They can't do it. They cannot do it. That's why they say we don't need the Lord. The Bible tells you that they don't need the Lord. So who the hell is man to say the so-called white man can be saved when God says they said, God, depart from us? They even said I don't need to pray to him. Why? Why would the so-called white man have to pray to God when he is God on the earth? Everything that the Most High does, he believes that he does. He can watch you, stalk you. He controls food. He controls the resources. He controls the oil. He controls the money. He controls the health. He controls wisdom. He controls knowledge. He controls understanding. He controls the Israelites. He has laws. He has statutes. He has commandments. He has priests. He has sacrifices. He has his own gods. Why would he ever think that he needs the Most High? Why would he ever think that? Why would he ever believe that? He can't serve the Most High. It's impossible. He don't believe in the Lord. Let's go to Psalm 73. This same spirit is on the earth now. That same spirit was on the earth then. Psalm chapter 73. I mean, this is actually my favorite psalm, right? Psalm 73 is a beautiful psalm. Now, this is Psalm chapter 73. You know, this is a beautiful psalm right here, right? But I'm going to read Psalm chapter 73 and verse number, this whole thing is good. I'm going to start at 7. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than a heart could wish. When's the last time you had more than that you could wish for? I've never been in that situation. No Israelite has ever been in a situation where they had more than they could wish for. You had too much money, you didn't know what to do with it. Too much wisdom, you don't know what to do with it. But that's how these devils live. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. So they blaspheme the Lord, just like Nimrod, a mighty hunter, and said, we're going to build us a tower. We're going to get us a name. And we're going to control the laws and put policies on the earth to control man. That's what it means, their tongue walketh through the earth. They control the earth through laws and policies and philosophies. Therefore, his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. Can you imagine that? When you wring out water, right, you get drops. They get a full cup. They don't live how we live. You're wringing out water out of this, that, and the third. You get a drop here, a drop there. Esau wring the water. He gets 7 cups. And they say, how doth the Most High know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? They said, how the Lord know, man? What the Lord know? The Most High don't know nothing. I'm going to show the Most High how to run the earth. Most High not watching. I'm going to show the Most High how to watch. Here's biometrics. Here's your data. I need this ID. You're going to have this. You can have this much land. I'm going to show get out the way. I'm going to show the Lord how to really run this thing. This is the mind of the so-called white man. This was the mind of Nimrod. This is blasphemy. Is there any knowledge of the Most High? What the Lord know? But I know more than the Most High. He really believes he knows more than God. Behold, these are the ungodly who prosper in the world, they increase in riches. Right? And this is a beautiful psalm as you read the rest of it. Right? But nevertheless, this is the MO and mentality and mindset of the wicked, who seeks to bring all nations together for idolatry and confusion. And really, like I said, it's not the first time. When you go into the Neo-Babylonian Empire, remember Nebuchadnezzar, he sought to do that. Globalism is nothing new, right? This is the definition of globalism. Nimrod was the first to bring about globalism, okay? And he wasn't the last. Every nation that came into power sought to bring all of the people of the earth together in rebellion and in defiance against the Most High God, right? Globalism is a policy and philosophy prioritizing global interconnectedness. That's all people coming together. Promoting open economies, international cooperation, and shared, often top-down solutions for issues like climate change and trade. In order to have globalism, you have to have a form of communication, which now is not more so of a modern language, but it's more of the technology that's being used to bring everybody together. Artificial intelligence, like we're going into surveillance, the 14 eyes, biometrics, global laws. That's the language that everybody's speaking, and everybody's picking up the same way of tracking people and monitoring people and controlling people all over again in defiance against God. It seeks to harmonize. So the second Tower of Babel is not a literal tower. It is a spiritual tower that's being built by these elites and these nations. It seeks to harmonize national policies. So if the policy in China is going to be the policy in America, if they have social credit scores in China, they're going to have social credit scores in Europe. If they have face scanning in UK, they're going to do that in Australia. Whatever your national policy is, they want it all to be the same. We're all going to speak the same thing. We're going to have the same language and the same speech. Now, do you think these policies are for the sons of God? No. These policies are against the sons of God. Globalism is a philosophy for the sons of God to be cut off from their heritage. That's all it is. Because if you have globalism, by default, who's going to get caught up in that thing? The Israelites. And they're not going to allow us to keep God's policies. So we're going to have to conform to their policies. So globalism is demonic. True globalism, for lack of better terms, is going to be in the kingdom of heaven under the laws and statutes and commandments. And everybody's going to speak the same thing, not the things that they speak now. So let's read a little bit more on this. It seeks to harmonize national policies, aiming for economic efficiency, cultural exchange, and peace, though it often faces criticism for weakening national sovereignty, culture, and benefiting global elites. Global elites. So they want all of the people to come together. Globalism rising, authoritarianism, and the demise of civil liberties. This is the beginning of what we call, that's what we call this through the spirit of power, Slakia. We called this through this. What did I open? Let me go back. I wanted to open this in a new tab. Let's see. We called this the second Tower of Babel. Globalism rising, all nations coming together, all speaking the same thing in rebellion against God. Now, the scriptures say when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, right? Let me get that quick precept. Ecclesiasticus 17:17. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Lord's portion. So the Most High divided the nations, gave them boundaries, gave them families, told them where they're going to be. Esau, like Nimrod, said, "The hell with that. I don't care about nothing that you're talking about. What we're going to do is we're going to do our own thing, right? We're going to do our own thing, and we're going to build our own God, right? We're going to build our own God." This is what they want to do. Now, again, Nimrod was not the first, neither will he be the last, to try to bring forth this spirit. The ancient Babylonians did that as well, or the Neo-Babylonian Empire, right? Remember, Nebuchadnezzar sought to do this. There's ever since the sons of God fell, the heathen have always sought as a final goal to bring about globalism, to bring about all people coming together to serve a common God. This is Daniel chapter 3 and verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar, the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. That is the Babylonian kingdom from 626. It's like it's a 539 BC. Okay, he set up this image. Right now, the so-called white man set up an image, but his image is spiritual. Okay, but this image was physical. Nevertheless, this is Daniel 3 and 2. Then Nebuchadnezzar, the king, sent to gather the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar, the king, had set up. You got law enforcement, judges, people that handle finances. All this is happening now. As they push this new world order, financial things are going to be tied in to the worship of an image, a spiritual image, the system. Counselors, which are people that bring about judgment. These are like senators, politicians, if you will. So politics, finances, sheriffs, that's law enforcement, rather that's military, local law enforcement, National Guard, and judges, people that run the court systems, captains, top military men of the Navy, of the Army, of the Air Force, and the rulers of the provinces. In today's term would be what? The world leader of China, the leader of Russia, the leader of America, the leader of the UK. And in today's time, they're all going to worship this system, right? That's why they all are getting digital IDs. They're all getting biometrics, and they all have multi-billion-dollar surveillance systems, and they're all building FEMA camps, ultimately to come against the sons of God. Let's read on. Daniel 3 and 3. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar, the king, had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Now, here's the point. Then an herald cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages." So he wanted to get all of the people, all of the nations, and all of the languages at the same time. That at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar, the king, had set up. It's for all people. And whoso falleth not down shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So there's a penalty for not conforming to the ways of Babylon. And that time you was thrown in the fiery furnace. Brothers may say, well, that was just back then, right? I mean, what would the so-called white man do if I'm not complicit with the New World Order? If I'm not compliant, if I don't get down, what's going to happen? Ecclesiastes 3:15. That which hath been is now. Literally, now, right? That which happening before is happening right now. So that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and the Most High requireth that which is past. So you may not get thrown into a fiery furnace, but there are other forms of death that are going to come with not getting down with the New World Order in this system. And ultimately, it's going to be a beheading. That's in Revelation, the 20th chapter. And we're going to touch on that soon. But the point I wanted is that it wasn't just Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, it wasn't just Nimrod. Even Nebuchadnezzar sought opportunity to bring all people together. And if you didn't, you will be put to death. Now, what kingdom came after the Babylonians? The Medo-Persian Empire, right? Let's get an account of them doing the same thing, trying to bring all the heathen together. This is Additions to Esther, chapter 13 and verse number 4. Right, let's read this. Additions to Esther 13 and 4. Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations, and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdoms, honorably intended by us, cannot go forward. You see that? So even the Persians, they sought to unite all the kingdoms. That was their intention, and they couldn't do it. You know why they couldn't do it? Because the Israelites are here. As long as we're here, they'll never, ever, ever be able to unite all kingdoms, because we're going to have to get with it. And we ain't getting with it, man. So you ain't never going to have no all kingdoms united. You might have some wicked sellout coon jakes, but you'll never have all of the Israelites. There's always a remnant of apostles, prophets, daughters of God, sons of the Most High God, who refuse to get down with these systems. In Daniel, who was it? In Daniel, the 3rd chapter, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, they represented the elect at that time. 3 is a portion of completion. During this time, you had Mordecai, you had Esther. They refused to bow down to Haman, to submit themselves to the beast. So these heathen, they want to gather all nations, but the Israelites, our laws don't allow us to get down with the other nations. We can't be a homosexual like you damn heathen, man. We can't murder. We have to keep the Sabbath. We got to keep the Passover. We got the Feast of Tabernacles. Our laws are like oil and water with these heathen laws. So it's going to be impossible for them, as long as a remnant remains, for them to unite all kingdoms. Let's read on. Seeing then, we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition unto all men, differing in the strange manner of the laws, and evil affected to our state, working all the mischief they can, that our kingdom may not be firmly established. So what are they saying? These people are different, man. They wear fringes. They're eating that unleavened bread. They're dwelling out in booths. They say a man can only be with a woman. They're bringing the Most High into the equation. They hate evil, theft, wickedness. We got to get rid of these people. Let's say they're all anti-Semitic. They're all hate speech. We're going to shut them out of the system and force them to get with it. If they don't get with it, we're going to chop their head off. So this is the plans of the so-called white man. They want to get rid of the sons of God so they can unite all kingdoms. We're going to have that mind of Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael, who said, you know what, O King Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. Right? So we don't got to think about bowing down. Let me get that. That's one of my favorite verses, man. One of my favorite verses that our forefathers said. This is Daniel. I got to read it. Daniel chapter 3 and verse number 15. This is what Nebuchadnezzar said. Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, they should be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? He said, who the hell is the Most High? I'm running this right now. You don't bow down to this image, you get in death. What did our fathers say? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. I mean, ain't nothing to think about, man. We're not about to fast, so there ain't nothing to pray about. We're not going to huddle up and say, well, Shadrach, what do you think? Okay, Meshach, well, I think this. Abednego, what do you think? They said, look, man, it's easy. This is light work. We ain't about to, we're not tripping over this, man. You got that furnace ready? I don't see it ready yet. Throw me in that furnace right now, man. Stop playing with me. Ain't nothing to think about. A lot of brothers want, God, what do I do? They want to chop my head off. Oh, Lord. Oh. We got to be ready to take death. Straight up. And start thinking about the kingdom of heaven. The Lord said, the Dan of Yahweh shall rise first. This is stuff we got to start thinking about. We don't got nothing. There's nothing here for us. You got to be willing to die for the Most High. That's how heavy this is about to get. What are you here trying to save? Tell me what you're trying to save here in America that you want to hold on over the laws of the Most High. Your car, your money, your job, flesh and blood, your house. What's more important than serving the Most High? If it's taking you a long time to answer that, you got some self-examination to be getting done. If somebody asks you that, you say, look, I'm not careful to answer you in this matter. Ain't nothing more important than serving the Most High. Why would you even ask me that? Don't ask me that again. That's the answer and the mindset that we have to have. So we showed you the Babylonians and their new world order that they wanted to set up. Then the next kingdom was the Medes and the Persians. We read that in addition to Esther. Who came after the Medes and the Persians? The Greeks. They sought to establish a new world order in their days. Let's get that in 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and 41. Right? This is 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 41. It reads, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. So these heathen, they never stop. The Babylonians did it. The Medes and the Persians did it. The Greeks did it. Whenever they're in power, they can't help themselves to have everybody be one people. And everyone shall leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Just like now. All the heathen agreed. That's why the Japanese, man, they say we want digital IDs. We want to ban people from being online. We want facial recognition. All the heathen agreed. The 14 eyes I went into earlier. All these nations to monitor and watch you, the 14 eyes, the eyes of a man, they have all agreed. All the heathen agreed. In the UK, to end the privacy in the UK, as authorities introduce China-style facial recognition. And out there in China, man, all the heathen agreed. If you're in China, this is how it works. If you're in China right now and they scan your face, it's attached to a social credit score, not a financial credit score. I ain't talking about Experian, TransUnion, right? I can't remember the other one, right? We're talking about a social credit score where if you are a person that maybe you got arrested, you got parking tickets, you bought too much liquor, you got drunk, you put something lewd on social media, you was on some pornographic website, you got fired from your job, your children got taken from you from foster care, your social credit score will go down. You got into a public fight, you couldn't pay your rent on time, your social credit score, they would scan your face, it's attached to a number. You said something against the government, and your facial recognition is attached to your bank account. It's attached to your medical history and all of that. And then they click a button and they lock you out. See, a lot of people in China are locked out right now. They sleeping on the streets. They can't work. All the heathen agreed. Sky News reported it will be rolled out across the UK after a human rights challenge failed. Another law pushing the United Kingdom towards Orwellian dictatorship. Right? You walking around. See, somebody posted that. Look, next, social score integration. You see that? Right? You see that? So they'll be watching your algorithm in the UK, shutting you out the system. If you're one of those people that's an Israelite, you went and you made a post about the Hebrews, you're teaching online, all of the recognition, with a click of a button, you're going to be shut out. They got certain, in Mexico, you got to register your phone. All operating systems have to be verified. So you're going to be shut out of phones, laptops, if you don't get down with their philosophies and their new world order. So if you're, in terms of philosophies, meaning you speak out, you're a rebel against the government. You're not complicit with the so-called Jew and their program and homosexuality, and you're known for making posts about, the kingdom of heaven being established. You're against their philosophies and systems, and they're going to cut you out of there. But if you agree and you're not somebody that speaks up against the government, you're somebody that doesn't speak up against the system, you're an average law-abiding citizen, you haven't made any posts, any tweets about anything strange, then you'll be able to prosper. But if you believe and you're doing the works of this system, which we're going to get precepts on, you're going to be caught out there. All the heathen agreed. We read it in First Maccabees. Right? I had, what else? Look at this. This is from an actual article. Look at this. AI blunder. A roofer, age 59, arrested after facial recognition cameras wrongfully identified him as bloke who stole 300 euros of IKEA furniture. This from April 21st. So what are they doing with this facial recognition? They're running your records while you're walking down the street, while you're walking your dog, you're pulling up to work. They run you, or you're one of those hate speech people. Or you're one of your last posts. You posted a YouTube video about the Israelites. That's unacceptable. Your Instagram says Judah. That's a hate speech word. That line emoji, we don't like that. You retweeted what? You like this? You reposted this? You're one of them? They're going to roll up on you with them AI damn glasses information, and they going to arrest you, man. So they're using this to to arrest people who rebel and are known for doing things contrary to the laws of that particular government. All the heathen agreed. What's this one? Yep, digital ID, need to travel, shop, drive, vote, access healthcare. So they're pushing this. They're pushing this heavy. They say in China, no ID, you don't get no food. Right? I'm gonna play this clip. It's 1 minute. I might have played this before. Even the Moabites involved in this thing, man. All the heathen agreed.
So the latest in this dystopian outrage that is now all of China, apparently, is I once again cannot buy food. A couple days ago, my uncle and my cousin helped me get a cell phone that is linked to a Chinese bank card so that I could buy anything. But now, apparently, it has been flagged for some reason.
So I heard in China, their phone is linked to their bank card through their digital ID, which is linked to their healthcare system or their healthcare records and all of that. And if you go off the grid and you do something or say something or post something or whatever, you do some aggressive behavior, like we read in that other article, they'll flag you just like that. Just shut you down. And you're going to be starving. You heard what she said.
A cell phone that is linked to a Chinese bank card so that I could buy anything. But now, apparently, it has been flagged for some reason, and I have to pass facial recognition identity verification, which is insane, because all I want to do is just spend my gift card balance on this debit card.
You gotta open your mouth, don't cover your chin. Somebody's watching them behind some damn keyboard somewhere. You know? Don't cover your chin, open your mouth. This is madness. Face the screen, open your mouth. Like damn a demon. That's the instructions on the phone right there on the screen.
I can't believe I'm doing this. I have to open my mouth. Oh my God. Terrifying.
See that? Face verification failed. You can't take out your wallet and say, here's some cash. You got to use that phone. But it's all linked up to everything. So if they lock you out, you caught out there. So every brother that's in his truth, you got an algorithm and a history of watching the Israelites and making posts and, certain things on social media, certain things in your algorithm, certain things, aggressive movements. You at camp, you doing the work. They're watching all of that. And it's all linked in together. All operating systems, Apple, what's the other one? Microsoft, whatever operating system, you have to verify it. And if you're on that list, you ain't going to be able to log in and no technology, no nothing. You're going to be caught out there. Because they know based off of who you are, what you do, what your internet history is about, what you might do based off of like Palantir, what you might do, that you are a threat to the New World Order, and you'll be blocked out like that because you don't agree and accept this system based off of the actions that you have showed through your use of technology. Rather you have thought it or rather you have done it. We're going to touch on that. How you have used technology and what you have said and done is going to be held against you. right? So brothers and sisters have to prepare for just being shut out the system. You're going to be caught out there, right? All operating phones, next thing you know, you got to log in and verify yourself. Oh, we can't verify who you are because they know that you're an Israelite. Oh, you serve the Most High God. We ran your system, your name, your ID, we verified is all linked up. You can't use your phone. You can't show up to work. You can't go in this store, you know?
And of course, because it was my cousin who set this up for me, I did not pass verification.
Didn't pass verification. I believe she got to get the hell out that store.
I guess it's a good thing that the Chinese app is not racist. But now I once again can't buy anything.
I can't buy anything. Now, this seems like, you heard what she said, this seems like an accident. You know, her cousin kind of set her up, something kind of happened. But this is real life out there in China. Imagine the people that are truly rebellious against the system. People that are truly protesters and people that speak up, outlandish posts. It ain't going to be no accident like this. They're going to be caught out there and shut out.
Did not pass her.
They might throw them in a FEMA camp. They might gather them all up. All you people, y'all going in the FEMA camp, and they're just going to start cutting them out, chopping them heads off, getting rid of the dead weight. The only people that can stand are the people whose mind is on this system.
Verification. I guess it's a good thing that the Chinese app is not racist. But now I once again can't buy anything.
Once again, can't buy anything. Let's get the precept again. Right? Let's go to 1 Maccabees 1. Right? 1 Maccabees chapter 1. So we talked about the Babylonians, the Medes and the Persians. Here's the Greeks again, the next kingdom. 1 Maccabees 1 and 42. And everyone shall leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So they all left their customs, left their language, left their laws, their music, their festivities, their rituals, and they said, we're going to be like the Greeks. Let's get another count. Who came after the Greeks? The Romans. Let's go to 1 Maccabees 8. And they themselves did the same thing. 1 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse number 1. Now Judas had heard the fame of the Romans, that they were mighty and valiant men, and such as would lovingly accept all that joined themselves unto them, and make a league of amity with all that came unto them. So what did the Romans do if you didn't join yourself to them? You were put under tribute, or you were conquered. But if you joined them, then you were just fine. And they might have put you under tribute. They might have, took a little bit of resources from you. But if you rebelled against the Roman Republic and later the Roman Empire, there was no friendship with that. You were slain by the sword. So your best bet during that time was to bow down to the ways of the Roman Republic. And they would lovingly accept. You don't think the so-called white man would lovingly accept all those who bow down to Satan? All those who accept his satanic agenda? All those who will not speak against the so-called Jew? Who will not rebel against the government? You don't think he would lovingly accept you? Of course he would. Even a king in Maccabees, 2 Maccabees 7, he said, I'll make you the king's friend. Just eat this pork. I'll give you gold. I'll give you silver. I'll make you honorable. I'll make you a god. Just join yourself unto them. So every kingdom we're seeing that they all have the same MO. From Nimrod to the Neo-Babylonian Empire, to the Medo-Persian Empire, to the Greek Empire, to the Roman Empire, even up to these last days. Let's get that in Habakkuk chapter 2. Right? Joining yourself unto them. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Now, this is about the so-called white man here in the last days, primarily in America. Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. You see that? So this devil is proud. He sins by foreign policy, philosophies. He don't stay at home. How many Edomites are in Mount Seir? That's his home. That's what the Most High gave him. They're all over the earth. They're in South Africa, Australia. They're in Antarctica exploring. They're climbing mountains. They're in the bottom of the ocean. They're in the air. They're in planes, helicopters. They're in America, Canada, Europe. They have spread wickedness all over the world. So they don't stay at home. And they desire resources. They desire to consume. They desire to conquer. That's what Salakia, that's what it means. Who enlargeth his desire as hell. Meaning he wants just as much as the grave wants. The Bible tells you that the grave is never satisfied. And he gathers all nations. So it showed you throughout the different ages of man that the MO for these heathen has always been to unify them all together. So we're not surprised that China, America, United Kingdom, Africa, all these other kingdoms are all on the same page when it comes to pushing forth the system in the land of the living, right? We're not surprised, man. Now, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. We're going to get a few more, right? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse number 5, right? Let's read that. It reads, moreover, the nations and their wicked conspiracy, being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto God and kept him strong against the tender compassion toward his son. So the Most High is speaking about Tower of Babel and Abraham. The first part is about the Tower of Babel, where it says, moreover, the nations and their wicked conspiracy being confounded. So what is a conspiracy? Because God is telling you that it was a major conspiracy for all of those nations to come together. A criminal conspiracy. So Nimrod, the Babylonians, the Medes and the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, these elites in the New World Order, they have all committed a conspiracy. A criminal conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit an illegal act or a legal act by unlawful means, with at least one party taking an overt act toward that goal. So the heathen had an agreement to commit sin. It was a planned out. It was not accidental. Now, when there's a conspiracy, there's the goal. See, this, the Lord said, or it says rather, that they act towards the goal. The overall goal of this conspiracy, again, is to eliminate the laws of God out of the earth by assimilating the Israelites with the ways of the other nations. That was the goal, and that's why he called he called Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael. Because if they bowed down, everybody else would bow down. That's why Mordecai wasn't bowing down, and Haman was pissed. Because if Mordecai bowed down, everybody would bow down. If Mattathias bowed down in the book of First Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, everybody would bow down. If Yahushua bowed down to Pontius Pilate and Herod, everybody would bow down. If the sons of God bow down and give up their faith in these last days and conform themselves to the system, everybody's going to follow and bow down. You cannot be a victim of the conspiracy, this endless conspiracy that these nations have always had to assimilate the sons of God. And by default, the laws of God are forgotten in the earth because we're the gatekeepers of the laws of the Most High. And if we get caught up in these nations and their philosophies, the laws of the Most High are forgotten in the earth. Let's get um Genesis. That's what I want. Salakia. Genesis, the 10th chapter. This is Genesis chapter 10 and verse number 24. Let's read 21. Genesis 10 and 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. Those are the 5 sons of Shem. This is the genealogy of Shem. And the children of Aram, Uz, Hor, and Gether, and Mash. Now, keep in mind, there's something special about Shem. The Most High said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem. Japheth knew that Shem was chosen. These Hamitic nations knew that Shem was chosen. They knew that. That's in Genesis 9. Shem was in great honor amongst men. And so was Adam above every living thing in the creation. Right? This is Genesis. That's from Sirach, the 49th chapter. Genesis 9 and 26. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Everybody heard this when Noah woke up from his wine. They were there. They knew that the Most High was dealing with Shem. Ham knew it. Japheth knew it. It was something special about Shem, and everybody found out about it. And the Lord said, out of all my sons, I'm choosing Shem. And Canaan's going to be a slave. The Most High shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tent of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So everybody knew about that. They all knew that Shem was chosen. Now, Shem in the Hebrew is Sham, which means name, right? Because ultimately, like we say, Ba Hashem, which is in the name. So the Most High in the Spirit would place his name on Shem, and he would be the gatekeeper of the Most High's true language, the laws and the statutes and the commandments. The Most High put his spirit on Shem. And then Shem had his sons, Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The chosen son was Arphaxad. Okay. And then out of Arphaxad, Salah was the chosen son. That's Genesis 10 and 24. And Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber. This is where you get the word Hebrew from. Ibariath in the Hebrew, which means from the past. Because we're going to read why Salah essentially prophesied, rather knowingly or unknowingly, that his son name would be Eber. Let's see if they break that down in the blue letter. Why did Salah name his son Eber? Okay, it says the region beyond Heber is really Hebrew. Ibariath. Okay. It says Eber, the name of 2 patriarchs, 4 Israelites. Perhaps eponym of Hebrews. Right? It's another name for the Hebrews. Heber or Eber, which means they say the region beyond is really the past. Beyond the region beyond the past, something previous. Right? You might be in a new region, but the region beyond is something where you came from. So it really means from the past. Now, his name was given Eber because Eber was prophesied to be the last son of God to hold on to the ancient Hebrew tongue. We're going to read that. So during the days of the Tower of Babel being built, Eber was alive. Now, did Eber get down and bow down to and create and build in that conspiracy? No. How do you know that? because he kept that language. When all of the nation's language, as we're about to read, got confounded, Eber's language wasn't confounded because Eber wasn't there. The sons of God did not get down with that system. Eber didn't do it in the days of Nimrod. Daniel, Hananiah, Azariah, Mishael, they didn't do it in the days of the Babylonian Empire. Mordecai didn't do it in the Persian Empire. Esther didn't do it during the Persian Empire. Judas, Maccabees, Mattathias, Jonathan, Simon, Eleazar, Johanan, they didn't do it in the Greek Empire. The apostles, our Lord, Hamashiach Yahushai, they didn't do it in the Roman Empire. We're not doing it in these last days. So we're like Eber in the spirit. Let's read on. Genesis 10 and 25. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. And his brother's name was Joktan. So Peleg is Pelag in the Hebrew, which means division. Peleg was born and he was alive when the Most High divided the earth and he scattered the nations and dismantled that building of the Tower of Babel. Eber and Peleg were both alive. And Eber called his son Peleg division. Because when Peleg was alive, that's the time that the Most High dismantled the building of the Tower of Babel. And he held on to the Hebrew language. And it was passed down to their sons, the rest of the sons of God that held on to the Hebrew. That's why Abraham is called Abram the Hebrew in Genesis the 14th chapter, because he's a descendant of Eber and that language that was never scattered abroad. Never scattered abroad. So we see that there's always a remnant, right? Let's get this in Romans 9. Romans chapter 9 and verse number 27. Esaias also crieth concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall return. There's always a remnant of Israelites that will not bow down to this system, right? So even out there in Vietnam, 80 million users got caught out there, right? Real life, man. 80 million bank accounts, 80 million people got shut out of the system. That's in Vietnam. Remember, all these nations coming together. Vietnam's new digital ID system and the seizure of 86 million bank accounts. That's September 2025. Vietnam has become yet another country to implement a digital ID system. In order to enforce compliance with this new policy, the government has frozen over 86 million bank accounts. Imagine that. Trying to get your money, your savings, your 401k, all of your funds you worked your whole life for, all of the overtime hours, all of the expenses. You need to get your money just for Esau to say, "Oh, let's figure this thing out. Let's freeze your bank account." And you caught out there through your phone, through the apps, through the digital ID, through the biometrics. You're done, right? 86 million bank accounts in Vietnam. It's not just the UK. It's not just China. It's Japan. It's all over the world. Are biometric IDs blocking Africans from state services? Even these Hamites, they get into this thing, right? Biometric IDs, this South Africa, are being used to grant access to government services, from medical treatment to voting registration across Africa, and those without digital IDs are being left behind. They're being left behind. You can read the rest of this article on your own. All of the Hamitic African countries that you thought weren't part of this thing, they're all part of this thing, right? A November report by the United States-based Atlantic Council think tank, see that, found that 49 out of 54 African countries now use biometric systems. So, Salakia, if you don't have it, if you're not getting down with this system, we read that they'll freeze your bank account. You won't have access to work, to government services. People rely on food stamps. People rely on WIC. People rely on Social Security checks and all types of things. So even Ham is getting involved. Trump, here in Babylon the Great, right? This is recent. When I forget this, I have to get the date, but this is recent. April 16th. Trump administration drafting order to require citizenship proof for U.S. bank accounts. So now you try to log in, link in, and you ain't gonna have access to your bank account. You got to download this app, got to use this. Like in China, it's linked up to your social credit score. You're a guy that goes out to camp, forget about it. You're a man of the Lord on the highways and byways, forget about it. As you type in your information, you're on that list based off of your biometrics and who you are, you're done. You're done. You ain't going to be able to get into your bank account. So you ain't going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to buy anything. You're the wife of a man of the Lord, children. Or you're one of these rogue, even got rogue Edomites and rogue heathen who hate this system and that they protest, and they're going to be caught out there. And the people that's not part of this system that are blacklisted, those are those who will be in those FEMA camps and targeted during martial law, rounded up and killed off as dead weight. Look at this. The draft executive order would require passports from bank customers. Advisors warn millions of Americans lack the documents to comply. Yeah, I mean, who's sitting around on a passport? To get the digital ID, to get your citizenship proof, to have access to your bank account. So if you don't have that, and this law come to pass, you're going to be caught out there. All right? So all these nations are getting on board with controlling everything you do. Right? I know let me see where I'm at with time. All right. I've exceeded my time, but all praise to Yahweh Shmi Awashai. Right? I'm going to get that too. Digital ID by country, 2026 Guide to Live National Systems. Not going to read this whole thing, but these are all of the countries that are on board. They all speak the same language. They all have the same speech to control the Most High's creation and rebel against God. Australia, was that Bhutan, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Brazil, China, Costa Rica, Czechia, Denmark, France, Estonia, Greece, Kuwait, Maldives, Poland, Portugal, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, South Korea, Spain, Vietnam, and it tells you exactly what they do, what each country does. This is, what is this? Regulaforensics.com. Right, you can see it at the top of the screen. Look at this, like Vietnam. It says official digital identity app with document wallet functions. So that's where you buy stuff from. You have your ID, your passport, your license. It's all there. And it's for biometric authentication. Some of them are for voting, transportation, So there's a lot going on in the earth, man. And that spirit of globalism and all nations complying to the system are ever so present, right? Are ever so present. I had this quick article, is AI the new Tower of Babel, right? And when you go into it, it's not that there's a physical new Tower of Babel, right? But the spirit of these nations all coming together, speaking the same thing to create technology to rebel against God is in that same exact spirit. It's in that exact same spirit. All right. So you see all these events going on in the earth. You see the prophecies unfolding, right? You see the prophecies unfolding. Let's go to Zephaniah 3 and 9. We're going to get maybe two more. This is Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse number 8. I'll read 8. Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So the Most High is going to destroy this place. In Genesis 11, God came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded, and he destroyed it, man. He destroyed it. Let's read that in Genesis 11 and 6, 11 and 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and tower which the children of men builded. So they top ain't reaching to heaven. The Lord said, let me come down and see this little thing they got going on. And he sent the angels down to see what was happening. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. So the Most High is against that. And they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And nothing, it's like, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. And that's how it is in these last days. The people are one. They're controlling everybody's wealth, all of the resources, all of the oxen, all of the cattle, all of the land. You can only be in this city. You can't travel here. All the people are one. And if they continue with this new world order, they'll never stop. God knows what they would do, man, if Yahushua wouldn't return. The Lord said nothing will be restrained from them. So the Most High has to do something. Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord going to blow up their whole plan. And the Lord is going to do that now by means of thermonuclear destruction, by means of the heavenly angels and the chariots, by means of our Lord Yahushua. He's going to confound and break up all these systems, all this globalism, all these elite agenda plans, and scatter them abroad through slavery and destruction. That's what Zephaniah chapter 3 is talking about. The whole earth is going to be devoured with the fire of his jealousy. Verse 9. For then, Zephaniah 3 and 9, for then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. Meaning everybody's going to be converted to the Most High's laws and commandments and statutes, and ultimately have the pure tongue. But really it's going into your spirit, right? The Lord said, from the abundance of their heart, the mouth speaketh. So our minds and everybody in the earth, they're going to be no more new world order. It's going to be an order under Yahushua. And everybody's going to speak the truth. Everybody's going to keep the feast days. Everybody's going to keep the Shabbat. And everybody's going to be in order. And if they don't, they will get put to death. That's what's really coming. That's the true order that Yahushua is setting up. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse number 22. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, said the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, said the Lord. So everybody ain't going to be bowing down and worshiping the beast, worshiping the system, worshiping the so-called white man. Everybody's going to worship the Most High. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. So with that, I'm going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh by Hashem Mashiach Malak Abishai, Nimrod, the second tower in the final war. Most High willing you were edified. Keep the Sabbath holy. No buying, no selling, no working, no cooking, no sex on the Sabbath, no speaking your own pleasures, doing your own things. Keep watch. The walls are caving in, but we're going to keep our trust in Yahweh Bashmel Shah. The Most High said, call upon him in the day of trouble, and he will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. Most High willing you are edified. Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.